Getting away from you is torture. The love we make is so fucking great. I hate when it's over. The pain is just withdrawn from your call. When your back's to the wall, you can't hide from the ride. So tell me what you feel inside. You want it deeper and deeper. Oh, no way to deplete her. No, she's a sexual tiger, and I'm always finishing behind her. From the bedroom and the bathroom to the kitchen. Ooh, girl, listen. Let's go up to the attic and we can go at it. We make love. From the bedroom and the bathroom to the kitchen. Ooh, girl, listen. Let's go up to the attic and we can go at it. We make love. Undress me, baby. Take off your clothes. Let me undress you. Get on top of me. Slow and steady, baby. Behind you, baby. Are you ready? Are you ready? It's getting hot and heavy. Every room has been blessed already. But if you're down, we can go for another round. For another round. You're turning me on, and I ain't too proud to say it out loud to you. And I'm really trying to turn you out. Turn you out, baby. You want it deeper and deeper. There's no way to deplete her. Baby, you just keep buzzing, giving me good loving. I can't get enough of it. From the bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen. Girl, listen to what I'm saying. Let's go up to the attic. Let's go at it. Let's make love. From the bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen. Girl, listen to me. Let's go up to the attic. Let's go at it. Let's make love. Undress me, baby. Undress me, baby. Take off your clothes. Take off all the clothes. Let me undress you. Let me undress you. Get on top of me. Get on top of me. Slow and steady, baby. Slow and steady. Oh, let me get behind you, baby. Are you ready? Are you ready for me, girl? From the bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen. Girl, now listen to what I'm saying. Let's go up. Let's go. We can go at it. We make love. Let's make love anywhere. In the bathroom to the kitchen. Girl, listen to me. Let's go up to the attic. We can go at it. We make love. From the bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen. Girl, listen. Let's go up to the attic. We can go at it. We make love. From the bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen. Now listen to me, listen now. Let's go up to the attic and we can go at it. We make love. Let's 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 make love.
All right. Peace, peace, peace. Welcome everyone. I know another another abrupt end to another intro song. As you can guess, that's another one of my unfinished compositions. So there's actually no fade out. It just stops. I forgot. I didn't realize before I played it. I would have tried to, play it off, fade it down a little bit. But hey, whatever. We're here, right? Wednesday evening, going for the ride. Greetings, everyone. I'm Chief Yuya. Those of you who are coming in from archives, peace to you, no matter when you came in or when you're going to come in. And of course, peace to all of you who are listening live and direct in the place to be. I want to welcome you to what we call enlightenment and transformation, and of course, to the community experience. Let me hit the stop button over here because that song's going to loop back around. Yeah, I just threw that on actually. I was rushing to get back. I wasn't really ready. So I picked one of my longer songs. Just I figured it's 4 minutes and 16 seconds, about a little bit over. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Give me enough time to get into position for the segment. But I will that everyone is doing well today, man. And you know, accomplishing what you need to accomplish and feeling strong in the areas that you need to feel strong in, and assessing yourself for your weaknesses and things that need to be addressed with vigor. I actually normally, let me get some background, man, because I'm too dry up in here. There we go. All right, now we're moving and grooving. But yeah, I usually make a habit out of reviewing the comments and questions from the videos from the day before, and I was rushing so much and kind of dealing with so much right before the show that I didn't get an opportunity to do that. So I'm slowly try to creep over there and see. I don't think there was, man. I don't think there was any comments from the previous ones, at least from yesterday's. But I'll check and just to confirm to be sure. But any questions, go on, just throw them in the chat room in case I forgot already. All right. And again, when I say the chat, there's been some confusion around that, which is understandable. Some people have thought that the chat was on our new app that you can get in the Google Play Store. But no, the chat is just this little YouTube. YouTube has a live chat of its own, man. So it's always nice when you don't have to recreate the wheel. Somebody has already put the technology in place and you can just make good use of it, man. So that's what we're doing right now. So people are already in the chat and exchanging all of their niceties. That's the thing with indigenous people, man. The niceties could go on forever. Peace, how you doing? How's the family? Everything you working on? All right, okay. Goes on and on and on, and never ending niceties. But yeah, it was an interesting comment that I did notice. It popped up on my phone, and Sister Veronica, I think Thibodeau, maybe the pronunciation for the name. It's Thibodeaux. But she said, in response to yesterday's show, wasn't really a question, but I thought it was a cool response. She said, I'm an astronomy student and have a reasonably good understanding of the nature of water. However, I actually looked up, why is water wet? What is water? What causes a person to take their first breath, and what happens during the last breath? I thought that was pretty cool. Again, it was kind of related to what I was speaking about yesterday, where I was saying a lot of times people may have certain energies that they are imbued with, but with those energies, sometimes we don't look at the most basics of them, what they mean at their most basic levels. And, sometimes we overreach, we strive to be abstract and esoteric when it comes to certain things a lot sooner than we need be, when we need to really cover the basics, man. So I thought that was a cool question. No, it's not Wild Out Wednesday, Brother Lowe. Oh man, we had enough wilding out already, man. We don't need any more. If you all only knew what it takes to keep this thing going. If you only knew what it takes to keep this thing going, man. Oh my goodness, people will get you. Yeah, there's a lot of work involved in this, man. Be surprised. I know it looks so simple sometimes, but There's a lot to being in a position of leadership, and even though again I'm not a leader, but people perceive it as such, and there's a lot to man. All y'all cracking jokes, man. Maybe she was calling to tell me that I didn't sound right. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. But yeah, man, there's a lot that goes into it. Hey, Sister Kia, I was just talking about you a little bit earlier. You know, I was talking about a couple of y'all. Good and bad, good and bad. But yeah, man, there's a lot to keeping this stuff going, man. And sometimes people are not as in tune with the politics of the whole thing, of keeping it moving, and what it takes and what it means, and why there's thank you, Brother Justin, why there's certain things that you have to do to protect what it's very easy to create a situation or an environment, you know, organizationally, things look really sloppy. You know, hold on one second. Let's see how much. Give me one second. Yeah, my bad. No, I didn't go. I'm sorry about that. I thought. Oh, I'm sounding garbled. Oh, I know why. I know why. Don't worry about it. I know what it is. Um, sometimes unbeknownst to you all, I do shows outside and stuff. So I tether. So when I do the tethering thing, if somebody calls me, it messes up the signal. So I just have to do my little magic here. It should be okay now. Clear, chief. All right, thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What a day! What a day! Man, y'all think everything is gonna go. Wednesday night is always the nights for the wildness now. And the brother who I just played the song, that we did that song together. That's the same brother who did Moonway. You remember the Haitian one I was playing for you the other day? I was like, yeah, the brothers were in the studio dancing with machetes. That's him. I always thought it was so interesting. Sometimes we would do compas songs, and he would, be singing that Creole, and then we switch it off, and like I'd put like a G Unit beat underneath, and he's singing that. It's very interesting how universal music is in many senses, and how when you encapsulate or understand the spirit of a particular expression, it's like understanding Orisha, like being like Shango one day, being like Ogun another day, you know, and you know, when I used to see him do that, it always kind of, it was fun to watch in that sense. But name of that song that you heard in the beginning of the show that I just played, I probably should play something else, but it's called Panty Dropper. And, I actually did that song. I wrote it and did the music one day, and I hadn't referenced it yet. And his sister, who was friends actually with that brother, probably still is. They were real close. She heard the music and just thought the music was just really moving, we'll say. And she said, I have to meet the man who made this song. I have to meet the person who would make something like this. And it's funny because I was talking to her, like when she met her. I remember we met outside, and she was like, "Hey," and then we went down into the studio later, and she said, she told me, confessed later. She said, when I met you, I thought it was a joke. I didn't think you made that music, you know. And I said, why? She said, well, you just don't look like someone who would make, like a sexual song like that. And she said, but then when I saw you jump on all those instruments, like you jumped on the drum set, then the piano, then you started playing the sax and this and that, then I knew like, oh my good, it really was him, you know. So it was just funny. It was just kind of, it tickled me because I guess I said, yeah, I guess I don't look sensitive. You know, I look like I probably would be, you know, cleaning up the studio, not actually using it. But yeah, that was always funny. But yeah, my good brother, man. He's a good brother, man. So yeah, you know, we've been covering a lot of things in this session, and or I should say the strong, and definitely coming from Sunday's talk, we've been talking about power and how power manifests itself, and then getting to into deeper conversations regarding just where things are placed at, you know. And yesterday we spoke about intelligence versus character, and how character plays such a strong part. And you know, sometimes even when you're heading up an organization, you know, you have to even respect the characters that exist in your organization that may try to cause strife. The sets, you know, within your, or even the apeps. You might even have an apep underneath things, but you definitely gonna have some sets. You know, you're gonna have those people who are really waging against the balance of the space, and the balance and what the balance and the tranquility of the space could actually have and could provide. You know, sometimes you have that in the space, man, and as a coordinator, you have to kind of sit back. You know, sometimes people will ask questions, you know, like, well, why don't you just get rid of this one or do that, or and everyone has their place, you know. And sometimes I'll let the wolves run amongst the flock to kind of see, you know, to fleece them out. You know, also you let the wolves run amongst the flock, then you see who's actually a wolf in sheep's clothing. You know, they're gonna do the secret wolf handshake. You know, so it really helps to screen things out a lot of times, despite how frightening it may be for some people when you're running things. You know, you have to allow all of those colors sometimes to exist where they should be. You know, and then, you know, learn the game of those different energies when you observe them, and then learn how to shut them down. You know, once the game goes a little bit too far. You know, so it's interesting with that. You know, it's been a lot of talk about that lately in terms of I guess maybe some surprises behind what I actually do see. Sometimes people don't realize how much I'm watching, you know, or despite what is shared or said, how much I'm reading underneath the words, how much I'm seeing underneath it, you know. So yeah, man, just kind of interesting about that. So Akili has a question. Have a question. Please explain the Eleli spirit. Hope I spelled it right. And how. I guess your question got cut off. Well, I don't see the rest of your question yet, but I just see you have a question. Please explain the Elele spirit. Well, you're not going to get it that easy because I'm not a vending machine. So, Brother Akili, where did you hear that name from? Why do you want information on it? And what information have you already come up with yourself? What have you already derived on ELELI? Okay, so you tell me what you have so far. Okay, and then I also want to know the premise for you actually asking the question, and I want to know where you got that from. I know. You got to go through all of that just to ask a question. It is pertaining to my Ori. All right, come a little stronger, brother. Don't be shy. Come a little stronger. Okay, it's pertaining to your Ori. All right. Did your Ori give you that name? Did someone else give you that name? Where did it come from? Come on, brother. Come on, brother. Yeah, man. Give me a little bit more information on that. Not and for your own edification. You know, give the proper background when you're asking a question, and you know, don't just ask. Please explain the Eleli spirit. Nope, I don't do that. You got to tell me. You got to give me the context, and you have to give me what you've gotten so far if you want me to expound further on it. But you know, I could be sitting here explaining a particular spirit or energy for weeks. Strongs, you know. So no, I don't usually like to answer stuff like that. That's like somebody saying, "Please explain the element of air." How much time you got? So give me some background. I need a little bit more background because I don't like it when you guys just hear something in a reading or something and then just immediately run to me and don't do your own research. I want no parts of that. So bring me a little bit more, man. Bring some more to the table, man. You know. But yeah, Lotus Scholar, there's some set tripping going on. I might have to bring you in for some enforcement. I know y'all see Lotus Scholar's picture on the thing, man. He definitely looks like a bouncer. Yeah. Actually, we got a couple of rough, ornery looking guys in the group, man. Kojo Magic looking kind of rough too. Yeah. We got a couple of yeah. Some of you guys looking a little rough around the edges, man. Y'all looking a little ornery. Yeah, man. I might have to bring some of y'all in for our new security, man. Have you start cracking some heads. Oh, Lo, look at this. But the ladies say I have a pretty smile. Oh, look at him putting his bid in. Peace, precious Jim. Yeah, peace. Look at Anwar. He. We ready, Chief. I bet you are. I know Tareem is down. I told you, big old country fighting dude. I'm down, Chief. Look, I knew it. I could tell. Tosin says a gunner. I'll get my shield. Dag, man, y'all are real violent. I guess I started something I shouldn't have started, man. My bad. I didn't realize I had such violent tendencies. Okay. Yeah, Akili, you're not giving me any more information. All right, so I'll wait until you get out. I'm gonna keep building on some other stuff, man. But I need more background, brother. That's how we ask intelligent and thoughtful and powerful questions, man. Lo got a war club. Wow. I bet you do. When some of you know, I used to have a couple of martial arts dojos that I owned and taught out of. It was his brother who used to come train. Well, I guess we could call it train. And I remember the other brothers used to tell me, man, don't be teaching that man. Don't teach him nothing, man. That brother ain't right. So one day we was leaving. It was late, man. We had a late session one night. And, I used to give people rides home sometimes. And I was like, hey, brother, you good, man? You all right tonight, man? You need to lift anything? And I had a couple people, and he was like, nah, man, I'm good. Anybody run up on me, they getting some of this. And he pulled out a mace. Now, when I say, you guys may think I said mace, he pulled out mace. No. He pulled out a mace. Okay? If you don't know what that is, go through a little Google search real quick for medieval weapons. Mace. He had a mace tucked into his pants underneath his coat. He was like, anybody run up on me, they getting this. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just start working with you on some yoga. We gonna do yoga. Because he was off. He was off his rockers, man. And then even like when I would train him, man, he would like he would be punching all hard, like we'd be doing drills and like, I'd have doing punching and blocking drills. And he'd be trying to take people's heads off. I'd be like, yo, man, calm down, man, slow down. Oh, all right. He's a good brother. He was just crazy, man. That's how it is. Them arts, they attract that type. Okay, Achille, here we go. In my study of the book on the Ori and how this spirit talks about this you spelled it different now, ELEI spirit manifests itself in a negative way. Sorry, my typing is slow. Hey, no problem, brother. No problem. That's what I want you to do, though. What did the book say about it? Like, what do you have so far? And you spelled it two different ways. Which one do you want to use? I think you get maybe you're getting what I'm saying. You haven't done enough on your own yet. Okay. Do a little bit on your own. You got a book already. Do a little bit on your own. And then I'll give you a little something. Now, my problem is I always say that. And then if I keep talking, I'm going to end up giving you something anyway. I'm gonna try not to do that. But I always say, well, yeah, I ain't gonna tell you nothing about it. You gotta learn it for yourself. And then I'll say, but you can look up, you can look this up, and it's also dealing with, I'm gonna try not to do that. You know, yeah, I want you to put a little bit more work into that, brother. You way off. Yeah, Justin, it was like Mortal Kombat, man. That dude was crazy, man. Nice guy, man, but and it's just not right, man. Who walks around with a mace? And if anybody's wondering, it's to describe it, it's the metal, like a metal rod, right, with a chain on the end of it, and then a ball on the end of that chain with spikes all over it. Probably know what I'm talking about now. Like in movies they swing that over their head, stuff like that. He used to walk around Harlem with that. You know what I mean? Ready to hit somebody in the head with a mace. I was just glad he was my student, man. I would definitely not want to run up on him in the middle of the night. But yeah, man, I'm keeping it light. I always try to keep oh man, my life. I always try to keep it light on Wednesday nights, man, and keep it kind of cool and laid back. Tosin said I saw that in Gladiator of Harlem. I saw that in Kill Bill. Oh, yeah, okay. I could believe it. Maybe he was waiting for the zombie apocalypse. Man, there's a zombie apocalypse. I'm going to be right next to him. Because if he had a mace, imagine what else he has. See what I'm saying? And he wasn't showing it off like, yo, everybody come see my mace. He was leaving like, all right, class is over. He showed it to me like, oh, I'm good, sensei. Look. Yeah, are you not entertained? Exactly, Tareen, So yeah, like I said yesterday, man, we were building on character and intelligence and the different things that come as a result. And, sometimes how we confuse, we misjudge and misvalue character sometimes because we have intellect. And if the character is not right, then everything goes off, man. Everything goes off the rockers. If your character isn't right, then your mind begins to warp. That's why in our tradition, coolness is so important. In order to maintain a steadiness, to maintain an even keel, and to not necessarily have really strong impulsive reactions based on maybe what we're hearing or what we think we're seeing, or just the situations and the circumstances that are surrounding us. So the coolness becomes a powerful tool in terms of keeping ourselves on our path and on our destiny. And a lot of times, oh man, the cigar is all done. All right, I just gotta talk to y'all dry. I was looking for an old cigar here in my incense kettle. Trying to get zooted up real quick. But and I do mean a cigar. All right. But yeah, a lot of times yeah, Michelle, he is a perfect brother to befriend in case it pops off. You're absolutely right, and we are still friends. All right. I don't even remember the brother's name, actually. Whoa, wow. I don't even know if he ever told us his name. He studied under me for about a year, maybe a year and change. All right, something's wrong there because I don't even think I remember his name, man. I don't even think he gave it. I don't know. That's crazy. And he used to come in the dojo sweating like crazy, which was also another weird thing. We getting ready to work because I would work him out before we would fight and spar. He'd come in dripping with sweat. I'd be like, yeah, man, I just finished macing somebody up the block. Let's go. Let's get it started. Whoosh! But anyway, yeah, man. No, it's not a Chesterfield. What is this? I saw you asked about the cigar. No, it's a Gurkha. What kind of Gurkha is this? I don't know. Canastia Gurkha. That was pretty good. Yeah, nice case. Yeah, but yeah, just speaking about those aspects, man, it's important when we're dealing with destiny and our ability to stay cool. our ability to, move from that idea of always behaving or reacting impulsively and really keeping ourselves from the development. Sometimes that's where we miss the cause and effect. The trail grows cold in a sense because our emotions are so high and we respond and react so impulsively that we lose it. We lose the root cause of what's actually happening in our lives. Marvin the Magi says, Chief, the segment on character really was thought provoking. I chewed on that all day long. I got work to do. Okay, good, man. I'm glad it's doing something. Yeah, man. Let me just put it out there. It's Wednesday night. Wednesday night, you ain't got no job. Free your mind, man. No, but do the work, people. Don't think you're fooling anybody. Don't think you're fooling anyone when you don't do the work. That's kind of what some of the dialogue was about today. I see people. I see you. I know who's naughty and who's nice and who's applying the principles and who's not, man. And no, it's not always the loudest person. Like I said, man, it could be the quiet person in the back sometimes, man. But, if this is a joke to you or just something to do or something to pass the day, you're going to get it worse because of the fact that you've been exposed to the truth. You see, so now, the more you learn and the more you know, the more you become accountable for what you've learned and what you've known. Even if you don't want to take it serious, man. And I see so many people in so many different movements, including this one, that sit on the periphery because they don't really take it serious and don't really do the work that's prescribed to them because of whatever hangups they may have internally. And they don't grow. They don't change, man. There's no real improvement that comes in their lives. And, there comes a point even with me where I pull back. You say, oh, Chief ain't really vibing. Chief don't really give me no energy anymore. Nah, you just sucking up the energy, man. You're not actually applying anything, man. So, kudos to you, brother Marvin, or Marvin the Magi. I know I got to say the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest. Marvin the Magi, you're right, man. I'm glad that you have been chewing on it, man, and I know you'll digest it as well, so it can start to transform your innards, man. But character is so key, man, and really, if you're taking up the character of a student, if you're taking up the character of an academic, man, be that, live it. Don't play with it, man. Like I always say, F what I knew, but don't F what I knew. You know what I mean? Like, really take it seriously. Even if the little bits that you can take, I know sometimes it's very difficult to apply, or take in as much as sometimes is given, but just a little bit, the little bit that you can take on, even if it takes you 6-7 days to get through one show. Even the things I'm saying now, they're not filler. If I'm saying it, it's because I'm seeing an issue. So many people sit around the periphery because what happens is when they're given a lot for free, like many of you are, for one, you devalue it, number one, and you figure it's always going to be there. So, hey, I don't have to pay too much attention to this. I don't really have to apply it. Or because it was given to me for free, it must mean that I'm worth it. I'm worthy now. Even though you didn't do anything but just stumbled across a video, you're now worthy. And the issues that you came in with, you don't really need to address, because if there was really something wrong with me, why would this person be giving me so much information? You see? And and that's the wrong way to approach it, man. I have to tell you, it's to your own detriment to approach this learning and to approach this development like that. There's a lot of people. That's kind of what some of the dialogue was about today. All the people I do know and see who ain't doing the work. This is like a teacher. Remember, I worked in education. Hey, y'all want to know a secret? Tell you a secret. This is a Wednesday. Wednesday night, sometimes I tell secrets. The first teaching job that I had, I conned my way into. I only had a high school diploma. I could say it now because I mean I'm good. I'm good money. I'm not gonna say the town it was in either or anything like that, but I conned my way into it. This is way back before they used digital records. So like now you can look in the computer and look at teachers' transcripts and their records and stuff like that. This was before those days, and I went to the board of ed. I'm not gonna say where. I put on a what kind of suit that was on? Was it an Armani suit? No, it was a Calvin Klein suit. I had these real nice ostrich boots I used to wear sometimes, and I had my Calvin Klein suit on. And I went up to the Department of Ed, and I said, I just transferred in from Ohio. Lie. I said, I just transferred in from Ohio, and I demand a job. I said, just like that. I demand a job. Taught English for 2 years. Yeah, I don't tell too many people that story, man. No, it wasn't from the Steve Harvey collection, Brother Tosin. No, I'm not into all them buttons. Too many buttons, brother. But yeah, first teaching job, conned my way into. First corporate job. Well, kind of my second corporate job, conned my way into. I had the first job already. Then within the company, I told them that I had a certain ability that I didn't have at the time. And I got promoted within maybe 10 days of being hired. Went from a printer technician to a Visual Basic programmer. I'll put y'all up on some of the adventures of Chief Yuya. I didn't even own a computer at the time. I didn't, and I'm gonna tell you how crazy it was. I told some people this story because it's humorous to me now. There used to be this store back in the days called Comp USA, and you could go into Comp USA and they had this like clearance bin where they would sell like all these different books, outdated software, whatever. But you get these books for like $3-4 or whatever. And I was at a company. I'm not gonna say the name of the company. Very big company. You all know the company. And I was a printer technician, which I already conned my way into that. And I overheard the sales staff talking about they needed to outsource the Visual Basic programming because of the macros they were trying to create to do some of the accounting for the expendables, like when you're selling like high price printers and stuff, it's the expendables that you really make your money on. Even though an organization may buy a printer and they may spend $500,000 on the printer, you get them on the ink and the paper, and even the maintenance. Sometimes you'll have one of your people on site just to maintain it. So I know a lot about the printer industry. Whole lot of little slick stuff in there. So they needed these macros created, and I was like, oh, I could do that. Lying my tail off. They were like, really? I said, yeah. I said, oh, great, dude, you should come in. This was Friday. No, this was Friday. They said, come into the sales staff meeting Monday morning, and we'll show you what we want to do and what we need, and boom, 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 boom. You could do it for us. I'm like, oh yeah, definitely, not a problem. No, I got you. Psh, man, I didn't know what I was doing. And on top of that, the company ran at that. Well, we're going back. Let's see, was it Windows 3.1? It might have been that. And I was trained in Novell. I was studying Novell, which was a mainframe system at the time. I went to Comp USA that night, and I bought this book called Learn Visual Basic in 21 Days. And locked myself into my apartment, got some food. I think I maybe had gotten a pizza and some curry chicken. And locked myself in, and I did not come out until Monday, and just studied that book with no computer. Remember, I ain't on a computer. This is back when computers were real expensive, so it wasn't just you get a computer for a couple $100, a couple of G's. I didn't have a computer. So, yeah, man, I taught myself Visual Basic with nothing in front of me. I use visualization. I would visualize. I would be typing in the air and visualizing the computer in front of me. Went into the meeting Monday, and I knew these are salespeople, man. They snort coke all day, man, and get drunk. on lunch breaks. So I knew all I had to do was talk the language. I didn't actually have to know what I was talking about, but I just had to understand the jargon, and I could catch up later. That's exactly what I did. Went in there and used a bunch of acronyms. And they said, well, we wanted to do this. And I said, that would be great. But you know what you could also do? Every idea they threw out, I embellished on the idea. Well, we could even get it to do this too. Got the gig, got the increase in pay rate. They made me permanent because I was actually temp. Made me a permanent, gave me my own laptop. And I know this is not a big deal to y'all, but even gave me my own pager. Booyah! I got a laptop and a pager. I was doing it. And I tell you the funny, and a cubicle. Got my own cubicle, And I tell you what was funny about it. This is the real joke. I always tell my youth. When they gave me the laptop, I didn't know how to turn it on. So I wrapped the laptop up in my coat and I took it into the bathroom. And I sat there trying to figure out how to get this thing to turn on. I turned it on and took it back to my desk, turned on already. And he was like, and then they was coming, you ready to go? Yeah, I'm ready. I'm good. I'm ready to go. That's how I conned my way into my second corporate job. Because, technically it was my first, but, I promoted within 10 days by BS. And I became one of the best programmers in that division, actually. They used to outsource me, kind of like, Nat Turner. They sent me to a lot of different installations to set up different things and stuff, but that was my real hardcore introduction into how dumb people are in corporate environments. The higher up you go, the dumber they are. The smartest people are the security guards and the receptionists. They see everything. They know when you done snuck something out. You got a pocket full of stationery, or shoot, all my chairs in my house came out of companies. To this day, all my office chairs, that was my thing, taking office chairs and network cable and stuff like that. But the higher up you go, they don't know what the heck they're doing. They've mastered the art of looking busy, so I use that as an opportunity to have them pay me to learn. So I had them pay me to learn how to program. They didn't know it. Yeah, man. Good times. So I don't know how I got off onto that, man. Like I said, I go for the ride. I have fun. But, sometimes I share that story too. One, how I conned my way into teaching English at a middle school. And I'm going to tell you what was so crazy. Nah, I ain't going to tell you that part because I might end up telling. Yeah, let me leave that part out. But, from doing that, working in IT and stuff, sometimes I share that example with young people to let them know, like, especially young people I know maybe who have backgrounds that are not so squeaky clean, or backgrounds that maybe where they may feel like, I could never get there, or get there, and they're intimidated by certain environments. And then when I tell them that story, I say, nah, man, you ain't nothing to be afraid about. There's nothing to be intimidated about. Those people ain't got nothing that you don't have, man. If you can survive certain environments you maybe have been in where you had to use your wits and learned how to use your wits in order to defeat the physicality, you can do it in that environment. Do not be intimidated by suits and acronyms, because that's all they are. Bunch of suits and acronyms. The people who know actually what they're doing, they keep them hidden in the back. And they look a lot like you. I used to always tell them that. Don't worry about it, man. Learn the language, learn the lingo, learn the jargon, to let them know that, yeah, I belong here. And then, always dress your best. I always did. I actually got pulled into HR for that one time because of the way I dressed. They said that the HR rep was telling me that they were getting complaints because I walk around the office like I own the place. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, you're a big guy and you wear these really expensive suits, and I don't know, there's people like wondering, like, what are you trying to take over the company? And look at this here. No, it's not that I'm a big guy, it's that I'm a big black guy. Say what it is. I'm a big black guy, and you're probably wondering how I afford these suits. Well, I didn't tell them that, but I own several businesses outside of this. I came in as a business owner. I owned a barbershop prior to that, you know. And I always dressed for the job that I wanted. And the reason I also did this, I'm giving young people game. That's what I'm talking about right now. Then we get back into some more spiritual stuff. But my thing was, I always wanted these people to know what they had to support. You see, I used to love when I could drive my car up and park in a window where I knew that we were interviewing, so they would see me, see what I pulled up in. Yeah, that's foreign. See that right there? That's foreign. See all that wood grain up in there? Yeah. You see this suit? Yeah. This is the lifestyle that you have to support now. You wanted me. Now you got me. This is what you got to support. You see? So it was always kind of like a psychological thing. So whatever they were asking or whatever they were saying they were paying, I know I was going to try to break them for everything they had, because I'm letting them know you got to support this lifestyle. And clearly you see it's one of, luxury and refinement. So break yourself. That was always my thing. Man, I had no mercy in those environments. That was back when I was on my spook who sat behind the door stuff back then. So I really thought like, coming here and, take some stuff over, but that's much harder than it looked. That was much harder than it was in the book and in the movie. So I eventually extracted myself from that environment, man. But putting you up with some game, man. There's nothing you can't do, man. You just got to learn the language of a place. Yeah, man. You just got to learn the language. So yeah, like I said, we were building on concepts and ideas of intellect and how it relates to character, and of course, as I often tell you, and I'm sure many of you remember that, we discover and we learn our character within the context of a communal setting, and sometimes there's certain counterbalance within the communal setting that allow us to really flesh out and learn what said character is, and really to help us to see it and what we should be in the moment, and we can draw inspiration from, a lot of times looking at different individuals' characters, and sometimes we can just draw information. You have people sometimes who come into your life to show you things about yourself, or sometimes to show you things about them, so you can learn that certain kind of people in the world exist, and of course it's not always a pleasant experience. Everything that you find in that sense doesn't always warm the heart in that sense, but learning the different characters that function throughout a community and why they become necessary is key for your growth. Trust me, if it wasn't, I wouldn't tell you it was. But just some of those ideas, man, things that we're talking about, and really helping ourselves to not give up. Helping each other to not give up, man, and to see the important facts within the whole of our study. See, a lot of times when we're getting into different systems or whatever, we're trying to extract and take what we want and what we, well, I just want a little bit of this. I just want a little bit of that. I don't want all that other stuff. And when you remove the whole of the study, what happens is, for one, you remove your liability as a scholar, for one, because you're no longer a scholar at that point, but you're not using different methods that would propel you out of the strata of your current learning. So it becomes a very pedantic experience where you just basically you're wading in the shallow pools because you're just waiting for what drifts by. I'm gonna grab some of that, I'm gonna grab some of that, man. And sometimes you got to go all the way down to learning the basic language of a thing, like I spoke about earlier. But what I did, I knew, well, again, we're going back in time. I wouldn't be able to get away with some of that. Well, the corporate thing I could. I run circles around them, even more so now. But no, in an educational environment, no, I wouldn't have been able to get away with that now, because all you got to do is check in the system. I said my transcripts haven't arrived yet. I came in there and I was acting like I was upset. which ain't even my style. 'Cause I don't even get upset like that. But I was like, I transferred here from Hawaii, from Ohio. What did I tell him? I was like, I've been here for 2 weeks. My transcripts haven't arrived as of yet, and I demand a job. He put me in the doggone middle school, which also gives you an idea how much, because it was an urban environment. That's why I knew I could get away with that. How much they care about the youth, But I wouldn't be able to get away with that today, man. That joint would have backfired in my face, But yeah, man. I just want to see if it could be done. That's all. I want to see if I could do it, and I ended up staying. You know. But yeah, okay. So I see Nicole Masters. My mother used to always say, "Whatever you desire in life, you have to dress for the part." Yeah, absolutely. You got to wake up like that thing you desire. You got to go to sleep like the thing you desire. You have to speak like that thing you desire. Whatever that character is, you have to completely own it. And then what happens is when you're creating linkages. So you're creating a mental linkage, and the universe does this real interesting thing where it starts to build worlds around your thought. So as it's building those worlds around your thought, it's connecting the synapses, like whatever it is that you're thinking about, and you're connecting in your mind. It knows that the next step is that it has to connect it into your speech, and then it has to connect it to your five sensory faculties. So in that sense, it's gonna start dripping down, almost in a sense. Creation begins to drip down. And it starts to exhibit, a contraction and an expansion of where your thoughts are, the things that you're thinking. So me saying I took on that role as that English teacher, I knew I could do it because, English has always been my thing. I've always loved literature. So I knew I knew I could either get off on the English thing or the science thing. I know either one. I was because science I've always enjoyed, or even the mathematics. But I knew English was an easy in. I was tempted to go the math route because I said that would be fun. I had whole ideas about what I was going to do with math and revolutionize that. Yeah, I'm just lighting up this little piece of tobacco. I'm not even smoking it. It's an old cigar, but sometimes when I'm talking, I just like the smell of it. Just lighting that up, burning my fingers in the process. Also because I'm outside and these mosquitoes are acting up. But so yeah, man, like I said, sometimes we have to learn to stress the minor points of our scholarship. And when we refuse to do that, we show that lacking in judgment, man. We just get caught in the things that we could have actually learned, or how far the creation is going. And sometimes you have to start from the bottom of the mountain in order to get that full fleshing, of what it could be, And what happens is that energy starts to variate throughout your life. So you'll see variations of a theme, as we like to say sometimes. But, if you take on the theme of the English teacher, you say, okay, hey, and an English teacher from Ohio at that, right? Because I know a little bit, I know something about Ohio. I got people out there, Detroit, Ohio area. So, in Chicago. So I knew the vibe, but it's the same way, like when I calmed my way into the corporate situation. And I was a printer tech. It was cool. But, I knew I had more. And you know what happened? This is the other thing that really made me like, man, F this. There was this guy, oh man, Mike something. I can't remember his last name right now. Big old muscular Italian guy who used to work on the sales staff. Excuse me. And every time he'd see me, he'd come up to me. He was always real sweaty, with steroids, real sweaty, just all hunched over for no reason, busting out of his shirt. And he would always go, "Hey, Yuya, my man," every time. And I'm like, yo, you don't do that to anybody else. What's this my man stuff all the time? Every time he saw me, I'd be walking through, their department. "Hey, my man, Yuya, my man, what's happening, man?" Come on, man, stop. What are you doing? So then one day I'm there, right? I'm working on one of the printers in our actual office. I wasn't out, on a call or anything. And Ken, I'm darn near ready to say this guy's last name, but I can't remember it right now. I'm not trying to protect these dudes. His name was Ken though. Little pudgy baby face dude. But everybody loved Ken for some reason. I guess he was cool. I don't know. They were all dorks to me. But anyway, I'm working inside of one of the cubicles, and they're on the other side of the cubicle wall cracking black jokes. And I'm making noise like I'm punching the wall like, yo, I'm here, and they cracking these black jokes. What did the black guy, oh, that's crazy. Hey, you hear this one? What did the black guy, just going on? And I'm like, all right, they doing this for me? Like, am I supposed to jump over this wall and use this phone and bash faces in? Are they testing me? Or is it they just don't even care? Maybe they don't even care. And that was one of the reasons why I was like, man, I'm gonna do something up in here. Let me get y'all back. I'm gonna do something up in this environment. And that's one of the things that kind of led me to perpetrating a fraud, as Run DMC would say, and moving into that position. But going back to character, I know I like to bounce around a little bit. Sometimes when I'm talking, it's certain words that trigger things, and I'm learning. In the history of my teaching, you guys know I've been doing this for a long time. I never really share personal things about myself. I've always kept that very private, and even now when I share stories with y'all, I'll let you know I do change slight details here and there. I do it very quickly. So I changed names, because it's people's private. But like Ken and Mike, I don't care anything about them. Matter of fact, I might try to Google them and see if they still work for them. I'll give you their names, But, I changed little time periods or little things. It's, I don't like people all in my stuff, and you never know who's listening. And I always give stuff, the stuff I tell y'all is always very old. So statute limitations is not really an issue, or most of the stuff that I'll tell you. I ain't tell you about no recent stuff because the adventures keep happening. But, in the history of my teaching, I never really did that much. I would just kind of, not to say I was dry, but, just really working on the mechanics of teaching. And I have, for years, just, working on that. And inherently, you start to come to a place when you can start to term the mind. You begin to remember the technique, the mechanics and the mechanisms of remembering. So you don't really have to focus on that so much. You can re-experience certain incidents and certain happenings in your life, and you can combine those re-experiences with the basis for whatever it is that you're teaching. You can interweave it in and out, and it becomes almost like a form of therapeutic regression, even while you're in the middle of teaching. There's a regressive aspect to it. So, I enjoy a little bit of even the liberation now of being able to speak about some of these things, like me conning my way into a job. I probably got locked up behind that. You know what I mean? But or somebody would have got locked up. Catch me if you can, gingerbread man. But the point I'm saying is that when you start to learn the tones of even your teaching, and sometimes we skip that. We don't want the bass aspects of it. We skip the tones, then we lose ourselves on the whole dynamics of what the teaching provides solution for, and then we lose our ability to even create basic equations of different behavior patterns based on what we're learning. Because when you learn something through and through, in and out, you can immediately flip and change your behavior, make it apply anywhere. It's like, again, me conning myself into a teacher's job and then conning myself into a corporate job. I already knew the basics of what I needed was just language. Once I understood that trick, I was like, man, I can do anything with this. I can go anywhere if I just know lingo and jargon. Doors will open up to me if I know lingo and jargon, So you start to learn how to use that aspect to conduct patterns of your own equations so you can do different things. And that's when it gets interesting, when you can go beyond the equations. Now, in order to do that, and in order to tap into that self dynamic, You have to tap into your character. You got to know what your character is so you don't lose your place. You see, there's a good sister I know who does a lot of chakra work, right? And she was sharing with me one day. She said, a lot of my clients are actors and actresses. And I was like, oh, really? She said, yeah, because what happens is that when they do these roles, a lot of times, depending on, it's like going deep cover. You lose yourself sometimes in the role, and then they have to do chakra work to realign themselves back into their own behavior, their own rational behavior, back into their own inherent functioning. So it's the same thing. Once you get a root, once you figure out where that you heard the lighters, yeah. Just blowing this tobacco smoke. It's see the way I'm speaking. Let me give y'all a little something, little easy one here, right? Let me light this back up again. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm gonna show you how I get little things popping. I'm teaching you guys, right? Giving you some information. So what I have is I have like this little mini iron kettle, which I keep my tobacco and my incense and things inside of, right? I got a bunch of these all over my house. But I put the tobacco inside of the kettle, light it up, so as I'm talking, the smoke from the tobacco is going up all around my face. You see? So as I'm speaking, the smoke that's raising up is imbued with the energy and the intent of what it is that I'm saying. You see? So it's traveling further than all of you right now. And I'm sending it off as an offering of goodwill out into the world. So the way I visualize that offering going out and keep myself into a certain space is I have the tobacco burning. You see? That's it right there. So that's a little, little spiritualism that you can apply easily. Because you can do that even when you're doing your arikis and things like that. I like to usually do arikis and maybe I'll do them into fire, into smoke. But smoke is good because as you're speaking and you see the smoke rising, it'll give you different ideas of what you can do with it, But like I was saying, that idea, man, of really finding where your basis is and where you begin to create spiritual progeny, how it comes out from you, and where you center on that is one of the greatest goods that you can acquire in your learning experience, in your spiritual experience, because you start to get to a point where you can even sacrifice aspects and pieces of yourself, in your learning, because you're seeing what actually engages you when you tap into your higher self or into your higher awareness or your higher knowing. You start to see the parts that actually engage you and what parts just kind of along for the ride, So in that sense, you begin to do almost like reductive surgery in a sense, I was speaking about that either yesterday or the day before, where I was saying that as we grow, sometimes we don't want to let go of things and realize that we just don't need certain components and certain aspects to our nature anymore. We're trying to hold them as if we'll ever still find use to them. Like I was giving the example, like me at this age, I'll probably never get into a street fight. It's done. It's over, which is great. I'm happy for that. Street fights are dangerous, man. You mess around and somebody throw you up against a fire hydrant, mess up your spine, or just hitting people. It's dangerous. Sometimes people don't realize that. Just hitting people. I used to always tell my students, if you get into a street fight, don't punch, smack. So everything you can do with a fist, you can do with an open hand, and it hurts just the same. You can use your palm, but you smack people. Don't punch them. Breaking up your knuckles, man, and your fists, and ruining your wrist and things like that. So it's just dangerous, But so certain things I don't really need anymore. Certain even imaginative or conceptive thoughts and faculties about me no longer needed, because the action of survival becomes different. It translates into something else in this time. The resolving of issues and problems within the communal setting is a survival mechanism. Formulating different studies and finding where exceptions are found in our development and our growth, and finding different patterns in what we do that create a sterility and a barrenness in our thought and remove the richness of our activities. That's survival. So again, like I often say, your warrior posture changes as you begin to develop, and as you begin to grow, and you begin to react and function less from your reactive mind. You start to use, like I say, reduction to remove things, and you start to use certain creative patterns in order to discover your solutions, and to find out where your aberrations are that are keeping you held down, and where your good stuff is. You see, the posture changes. Excuse me. Smoke getting strong. It's getting good. But the posture changes. All right, let me move that back, man. I ain't strong enough to handle it. Gotta know your limits. Okay, yellow-footed tortoise. He popped up. That's a new one. Chief, how did you know that adopting those specific roles would be beneficial for you? When you say specific roles, give me an example of what I said. When you say, Chief, how did you know that adopting those specific roles would be beneficial for you? Which roles are you referring to? I'm not gonna say brother or sister because I'm not sure. What yellow-footed tortoise? Tosin says, when the environment is counterintuitive to spiritual growth, you almost feel like it's wrong. You got to stand firm against that social control. Yeah, but always understand, Tosin, that your environment will always outrule your nature. You can't beat your environment. That's just what happens, man. If you want to develop and you want to grow, you got to get around people who are developing and growing. Get into an environment that is developing and growing. Get around some progressive people. You will never rule or out character your environment. It's just not going to happen. You'll always be running at half speed, and a lot of times you always will be, functioning from a place of reactivity. Okay, as a computer programming educator, okay, I'm a woman. All right, cool. Sister Yellow Tortoise. All right, cool. So she was asking, I'm going to go to first question. Chief, how did you know that adopting those specific roles would be beneficial for you as a computer programmer, educator? Okay, well, let's start here. Now, let me start here. I was pretty young, because obviously, I'm recalling beepers and pagers and stuff. So what I did first was a teaching piece, right? Okay, so when I did that little hustle or that little con, I wasn't really thinking about myself. I was really more so thinking about the ludicrousy or the ludicrousness. I'll work on that one, of the educational system. And it was like a field experiment. I wanted to try to prove something to myself. I've been doing this work for a very long time. So as a result, I've gone through many different changes in terms of, institutions I may have looked at, or different things where I've said, okay, well, maybe this is the problem, or maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's the corporate environment, or maybe it's the schools, or this or that. And, I'm all about integrative study and research. Wow. Okay, I just found a piece of cigar. It's got sand all over it. I know where this came from. I must have been doing rituals outside with somebody, and this was some piece left over. It's got sand on it. Okay. Well, so yeah. So that situation, a lot of times with the work that I've done, man, it's been about disproving different stereotypical norms, man. So even like, I give you an example with that question you're asking with music. Back in the days, we used to use like machines and tape and stuff like that to do music. And it was actually my father who got me into using computers. I studied computers when I was young, real young, and it didn't really take, like it could have. But I'm talking when they first came out, and he was always trying to get me back into computers, and I just was like, nah, man, I'm in the breaking something, it's not for me. I'm not doing it. So one day he said, I had this little basement studio at the time, and he came down there, and he was like, he said, man, he looked all over. He said, you got wires running all over the place. I'll never forget this day. He was messing with me. My father, he was real kind of slick type of dude. He knew how to trick you into doing things. He was like, man, you got wires running all over the place, man, and all these little boxes and stuff like that. He was like, man, this is how he said it. This is what got me into computers. He said, man, the white boys, they do all this in one box. I said, what? He said, yeah, man. He said, them white boys, man, they don't have all this stuff all over the floor like this, man. They use everything. They use a computer to do all this stuff. That was it. That was my interest into the world of computers. Because I said, well, heck, if they could do it, I know I could do it. He was like, yeah. Meanwhile, he's over here gaming me, trying to get me into computers. And that's how he did it. This is real. This is a long time ago, man. And there was a brother. Oh man, his name slips my Tony. It'll come to me. Tony. All right, it's gonna come to me later. But he had a show on WBAI back in the days, and he was advertising this special. I think Amos Wilson had something to do with it too. They had these lots of computers, and no monitor, just the computer itself. These I think they were PS2 286s. Imagine that, real slow. But they were selling them, I think, for $150, something like that. And I went down there and I bought two. Wait up, yeah, was that one? Yeah, I bought two. Well, that might have been. I think that was after I conned my way into the job. I don't know how to. The order's starting to slip now. But I got these two computers, these PS2s, and started figuring out what you could do with them musically, man. Because I was trying to disprove. I said, well, man, hey, if they can do it and they can use it, I know I can. They don't have, their brains are no better than my brain. So a lot of things that I did back then were really about disproving the stereotypes when I was younger. Because like I said, when I've mentioned before, when I first got into this work, it wasn't because of a great love for my people. It was because of a hatred for what was done to us. So I don't like bullies. And I felt like we were bullied out of our glory. So whatever that I felt was kept from us or was told that we couldn't do, like we're not good at math or accounting or whatever, those are the things I would race into. So computers, yeah, I had a fear of them, and I wasn't really that interested, at that time. You got to remember, this is a time when people didn't have computers in their houses. People didn't even have cell phones. So, the things that we use computers for now, we weren't using them for back then, So just hearing that, oh man, these other groups of people are using computers and they're moving and grooving with them, man. And I got all these wires and all these buzzes and hums, and I'm tracking stuff down, and they got one box and they're doing everything, man. I got to be on that, So always trying to be a cut ahead, at that time was appropriate to my youthful character, because that's when I was really trying to maybe leave more of a mark. Or really trying to prove that I had a place in the world context, despite what people were saying, that I couldn't do or should just do. Why don't you get into this, get into that? I had from being a preacher, I was told that I should have been a preacher. A lot of people thought that was going to be the case, and I knew that wasn't it. And I was also told for a long time that I would be a professional fighter. I also knew that wasn't it, you know. So I had people kind of corralling me into certain places that I felt that maybe I might have had to acclimate to do a little bit more. So at that time, to answer, your question, I wasn't really thinking so much in terms of was it good for me, because I was really on on my self-sacrifice tip back then. What's good for us? And I wanted to be able to basically come back to the hood, because at that time everybody was cracking on me about studying computers. When I owned my barbershop, back when I owned my barbershop, I used to buy those computer books from Comp USA. And all my boys was like, they would come into the shop and say, yo, you still reading them computer books and you ain't got no computer? And I used to be like, all right, watch. I ain't gonna be in this shop forever. I'm about to be out. Man, and they would always crack jokes. You gonna be cutting my hair, you gonna cut my son's hair, you gonna cut my son's hair, you gonna be here forever. They would always crack on me about that. All right, watch. That was always my thing. Watch. Now I didn't have any ends. I didn't know how I was gonna make it happen. I just knew somehow I was gonna go get some of that other money, that clean money, man. Where wouldn't have hair all over me at the end of the day. I'm eating my dinner and I'm picking hair, whoever's hair out of my food. I was tired of that. Not to say there's anything wrong with barbering. It's a great profession, but I had been cutting hair since I was like 15, and then bought my own shop when I was around 17, 18. So, and I had that for like 9 years. Well, no, I had been cutting for 9 years. I had a shop for that long, but I was ready for something else, man. So it was really about the self-sacrifice in that sense. And then so the educational part was really about me really just making a fool out of the system to a degree, knowing that I could go in there and teach and not actually have a degree. And I think on some levels, maybe there was some immaturity there where I was getting back at teachers that I had. At times when I handed in good, well, I think that's really why it was English. I remember times I handed them some magnificent essays and reports, and didn't get the grades that I felt I should, because back then I would use really inflammatory language. I didn't care who heard it. So I would be writing these Black Power reports. Everything always whittled itself down to Black Power. And I would be offending people, because at that time, in that age, I didn't know how to move snake-like. I only know how to move like a samurai. I didn't get my ninja skills till later. So I would just go head on, and whatever it is, deal with it, So as an educator, again, it was a self-sacrifice in there. I think part of it was me wanting to demystify the school system, because there's a mystique that surrounds it. And I wanted to see that, or show that, it ain't that hard. Look, you can do it. You can get in there. You can teach. They don't know what they're talking about. You can do a better job than they do, which I did. Which led me to later on going into education. And with the corporate thing, it was just, I guess it was a level of demystifying that as well, But I also said, I was on some spook who sat by the door. I thought I was gonna go in there, get their money, flip their money into something else, and you know what I mean. And I didn't really end up doing all of that. I just ended up learning a lot. Some of the same things that I utilize to speak to you today. Let's see. Look for questions. I saw some more. Y'all going back and forth. All right. Oh, y'all talking about music. Cardi B. Okay. Nicole says, right, story of my life. 12 years, hair everywhere. Right? I used to always think I probably got a stomach full of hair. I got an afro inside of my stomach. Because I know I'm eating all this hair most of the time. That's just the environment. And then you end up with those hair splinters. Those are the worst. When you cut hair, they're hard to get out. They're tiny. And they get underneath your fingernails and stuff. But hey man, it was a part of a growing experience, and I cut hair to work my way through college. So that's actually how I paid my tuition. Um, I had 4 jobs at one time, man. I cut hair. I used to refinish furniture. I worked in a antique furniture store where I would refurbish furniture. I was a bodyguard on movie sets for years, and then I also had another job. Man, didn't say nothing about that one, but yeah, I had a little bit more underworld kind of job that I got put on from the bodyguard work. But and I had the shop. So I had a barbershop, worked in a furniture store, did the bodyguard work, did nothing, and was taking 12 credits a semester. Sometimes I think back now and I don't know how the heck I did it. I can't put together the sleep. I remember sleeping on trains and stuff sometimes because I'm in my car. I got stolen. Cops stole my car one year. Man, I'm telling all my good stories tonight. Yeah, but the cops stole my car one year. I had this really laced up vehicle, and they towed it. And I was calling the precinct like every day, saying, "Oh, we don't know where it's at. We ain't got no report on it. Nothing." Months went by, like 2 months, and one of my elders was like, "Hey, man, what happened to your car?" I said, "Man, I don't know. Man, that thing is gone." And he said, "You know what? I don't know, man. I got a feeling. I think I'm gonna call this precinct, just see." He calls the precinct. They said, "Oh yeah, we got it. We're auctioning it off tomorrow." There was all kind of nonsense happening, man, around that time. But yeah, man, when you're young, you just kind of make it happen. So Yellow-Footed Tortoise says, thank you. Would you suggest exploring many different roles to help with character development? I would suggest actually exploring you don't have to necessarily explore the roles, but meet and greet for, not necessarily for character development, but for character revelation. Start to meet and greet and learn the people who are already in your community, because your community is what you've made. Even if it's dysfunctional, it's what you've made around you. It's the world that you formulated around you. So to start learning your character or your place within that community, get into the habit of meet and greet. See who's in it. And what each individual represents in terms of that. Now, in terms of developing character, man, there's a lot of different ways that we do that. Developing character comes through developing and I did a whole videos on this, but so I would suggest you check out the character videos. But it really comes to really tapping into your intellect, but not necessarily your intellect in terms of your linear intelligence, but your intellect that speaks to your context. Where am I in this space? What do I represent in this space? And what is the intelligence that comes with this particular role? Also, the development character comes through the recognition and the recollection of your life journey already. Like, for instance, some of the things that I'm sharing with you guys right now, right? Cutting hair at a very young. I never thought I was gonna cut hair when I was a child, man. Never had any interest in barbering. I didn't care anything about. I didn't even like barbers. It just kind of sort of happened. I started cutting hair. At least I thought it sort of happened. But it's the mythology of your life. I started cutting my own hair. One time I had to do this show. We were going out of town, and I couldn't get a cut. And I never forget, man, I made it to the shop too late, and we didn't have a stylist going with us on this show. And the whole band, everybody got their cuts. Everybody's looking sharp. And it was dirty bastards, man. And they were looking at me like, yo, you better wear a hat, this and that. And I'm saying, nah, man, I need a cut. I got to try to find a cut. And all the shops were closed. So I said, you know what? I'm going to cut my own hair. And I said, if I mess it up, I'll put a hat on. And if it looks okay to me, my plan was, I said, I'll wear it out. And if nobody says anything, because, this band that I was playing, like, we were all always getting on each other, like, oh, it was bad. So I said, if anybody says anything, then I know I messed my hair up. If nobody says anything, they don't even have to say, "Oh, you got a cut, nice cut." Just don't say anything. Then I told myself I'm gonna keep doing this because I can only get better doing it, right? So that's what happened. I cut my hair, hooked up my my flat top and my part in my eyebrow, you know, and went around. Nobody said anything. I said, "Oh, okay, all right, okay. I think I might be on to something here." And I started cutting my own hair. And next thing you know, people found out, and guys in the band, they would be like, "Yo, man, hook me up." You know, started cutting them, and next thing you know, I was, talent. But the point I'm saying is that was a part of the cultivation of my character because it was all a part of my mythology as a child of Ogun. Learning to work with, because I used to love using straight razors when I cut. Nobody really used straight razors, but I liked using them. Using those straight razors, even using scissors, and learning about chemicals and things like that, and then charting a new path in a sense because opening up a shop at a very young age. I mean, I was in a band at a very young age. All of that was like cutting new ground, being places that I wasn't supposed to be at a very young age. Getting my own lease at a very young age. When I was still a minor, I had a lease to that shop and things like that, and buying the shop at a young age. All those different things. It was about carving new paths. So that was a part of the character development because, unbeknownst to me, I mean, I knew about the Orisha at that time. I had been studying and stuff, but I didn't even put two and two together yet. Then going into IT. Going to the board of ed and demanding a job, all of those different things, charting new territory in that sense. And even when I went into IT was a fairly new industry at that time, So before that, it was all just mainframe. It wasn't, mainframe was easy, man. If it broke down, you just restart one computer, and then everybody's terminal is down. How it used to be for us older people. When you would go to the bank. Or that you go to the driver's motor vehicles, they say, "Oh, the system is down." They talking about one computer, because so they would just be dummy terminals. So it was very easy in that sense. But charting new paths in that sense, it started to reveal my character. So it's the same thing with you. You want to take inventory of the things that you've already done in life, the things that the community that you're already surrounded by. The people that you're surrounded by, the people that you enjoy being around, the people you don't enjoy being around, and it'll start giving you a sense of your flavor, and in that sense. Also, in terms of character development, you got to tap into law bringers, so you want to tap into codes. Different codes will help you. I don't care if it's the Bushido code, but you start tapping into different codes and seeing the relevancy of those codes in the world. You see, now for some it may be learning Ifa, it may be learning, the 10 Commandments, it may be learning to the 42 declarations of Ma'at or negative confessions. It may be any of those things, or just learning mythology and things like that. And seeing how applying those different laws in your life bring out different aspects of yourself. That's also a critical piece that you want to get into. For me, and I don't think you need to do what I did, but I studied a lot of different traditions. I was a part of a lot of different traditions, but also we're talking about a time before the internet was really popping like it is now. So in order to do these different things, like if you wanted to learn, you had to go there and learn, so I ended up, joining a lot of different, well, not so much joining, but coming underneath a lot of different teachers. I used to cut deals and stuff with people, like I said, even, dealing with the Nation of Gods and Earths. When I first got my first lessons, it was on a napkin, which I still own. Maybe one day I'll take a picture of it. I still have that napkin inside of a folder in my file cabinet. And it's holding up. It was a good napkin. But it was, brother came and, we basically traded cuts, free haircuts, which was easy because he had a bald head, free haircuts for lessons. And every time he would come, he would hit me off with a lesson, from my mathematics, from my alphabets. Eventually I learned the whole 120, So back then you kind of had to be in it a sense, and you had to show a certain measure of character to even be taught. Because, like, especially in the Nation of Gods and Earths, back then you couldn't get lessons unless you was of a certain character and pedigree, and you had to be able to recite whatever you was taught, or you get one what was called the universal beatdown back then, which is basically you get jumped. But they called it the universal beatdown. So if someone knew that you had an enlightener, you had a teacher called an enlightener, and they rolled up on you, they say, yo, they might be like, yo, peace, God, what's today's mathematics? And you had to be able to say, recite, like today's a set, I'd be like, okay, knowledge God, all being born to build and destroy, and then you would explain why when you knowledge God that you have the ability to build and destroy. You would basically be able to explain today's the 17th. That's why I knowledge God. But you'd have to explain what those different things mean, and if they asked you another question, so I actually personally appreciated the accountability. In all honesty, I did appreciate that. I never caught a universal beatdown, but I also stayed, like they used to always say, yeah, your blade is sharp. I always stayed sharp and respected and really valued what was given to me. So, learning different traditions is also a really good way to give you a more macrospective view of things. Around the time I was also learning Buddhism, I was rolling with the Hebrew Israelites as well at that time, and I also used to do security with the Fruits of Islam. So I'm soaking up, information from the Nation of Islam. I'm getting these lessons from the Nation of Gods and Earths. I have my Gohanza set up, and I'm chanting and learning Buddhism. Let me see. Around that time, getting ready to take my first trip to the continent, and studying, a little bit. At that time, for me, it was Santeria. That's where I started studying Santeria and getting that stuff. And I was very fortunate because all of that stuff came as a result of someone looking out, or me just, it was all very divine. I studied Santeria, man. I got into that. And I always kind of knew a little bit because, again, like I shared before, my father's a drummer. And I used to play in a lot of Latin groups when I was young. So a lot of times when you're playing in the band, you have to sing the chants along at certain breakdowns and stuff like that. So we would sing songs to Shango and Chango, different things like that. So I got accustomed to hearing the Orisha's names from playing in those groups. And things like that. And people would always come up to me and say little things, oh, Ogun, stuff like that. So, again, interacting with the community that you make around you. Now, my community in that sense was very schizophrenic, which said something about me. It was multiple personalities. Man, what are you, a Buddhist? Or you doing African religion? Or are you a Muslim? Are you a Christian? Because you keep Bibles on you, you keep Qurans on you. Then you over there with the Hebrew Israelites talking about the Torah, and what the heck are you? And I had my own mission. Unbeknownst to everyone, I knew what I was doing. I was trying to figure out a way to unify my community because we were all over the place. So I'm like, man, the way to gain their respect in order to unify them. You have to join them in a sense, man. You got to show them that you're sincere and your heart is in the right place and you're willing to submit and humble yourself to whatever teachings it is that they're willing to provide, to you. So all of that is character development, believe it or not. And like I said, you don't maybe necessarily have to go the route that I went. I don't even think you can at this point. I think the world has changed a bit, from those days. This was a time when you could walk through Harlem and pick all. And then I used to roll with the Rastas heavy because everybody thought I was Rasta too because of the way I look. So I had a long mane, and what I mean. It's just a whole lot of things going on. That's back in the day, the Fushnickens, when the Fushnickens was out. So I had the sides of my head shaved and the top was locks and mouth full of gold teeth. So where the heck is he coming from? What planet did he come from? So yeah, it was an attempt to unify. Now I didn't tell everybody, like, yeah, I'm trying to pull all of y'all together, you know, because then they probably wouldn't have taught me anything. But look at where we are today, right? And I knew I have all of those people present. I have 5%ers. I have people dealing with Santeria, Lukumi, more continental-based systems. I have Christians. I have Catholics. I definitely have a lot of Muslims. I have a lot of Hebrew Israelites who study the lessons. I have just people who just pro-black. And then I got people who just into metaphysics. Here we go. We did it. Not fully, not the way I envisioned it, because I was trying to buy up a block in Harlem back then, which didn't work. That was when they were all crack houses, and the city was selling the buildings for $1. You just had to invest a certain amount in renovations, and I was trying to get brothers in with me to buy a whole block. And I was like, yo, we could put everything. We could put a barbershop there. We can, we could have, I was like, we could have our own church. I was even talking about having a temple, but we would split the times of worship so everybody would use the same temple. I was like, yeah, we'll have, we could do Juma here on Fridays. Then we have Sabbath services on Saturdays. We can hold parliaments here for the nation of gods and earth. We can have temple for the rosters. We could do the whole thing out of one spot. And then we also have the building so we can have daycare set up. And I had all these different ideas, man. But everybody laughed at me. That was another thing they laughed at. Because they was like, you trying to go live in a crack house? Come on, son. And they used to laugh me out of the barbershop. I had even done up flyers that I had hanging on the walls of my shop at that time. And, and I was young too, so nobody was listening to me. I'm not even, I'm young. I didn't give y'all my age, but I was young. They wasn't listening to me, man. And then we would go down to Mecca and I drive through certain blocks. Well, we call it Mecca, Harlem. And I drive through certain blocks and I'll be like, hey, yo, look, we can get this. This is a perfect block. Look, boom, right here. Boom, boom, boom. Man, you crazy, man. it's crackheads up in there. I ain't going up in there. Now you can't touch one of them spots for less than a couple of mil. Told you. So yeah, man, like I said, we go through phases and trial and error, and we try to figure out where we can land at it and what will work and what won't, yeah, we've gone through it. So there's different ways there that you can develop character, but I definitely urge you to check out the segments that I did on that. Let's see. Let me go through some of these questions here. Vivid Eye. Chief, did you have a kid in play? No, I did not have a kid in play haircut because I didn't think that looked that cool. All right. I wasn't really into that. But what's funny? You mentioned kid in play, cracking jokes, of course, Anwar. Good brother of mine who I originally was supposed to be starting Sons of Sankofa with, which was the precursor to Our New Nation. When one of his relatives died once at the funeral, and guess who was there? Chris Reed. None other than Kid from Kid and Play. And we found out he was related to him. Man, I let him have it the whole time. I was like, yo, tell him to do the kick along. We was at the funeral. He was like, come on, man, chill. We at the funeral. Yo, just tell him to do the kick along. But yeah, funny enough, one of my good brothers. Well, we were good brothers. We're not so close anymore, but he's related to Kid. Vivid Eye Publication says, realizing now that my character development today has reached a plateau of sorts, must learn to starve a certain portion of self in order to grow. I don't know. That's kind of, I don't know. I'll take another look at that, brother. Your character development to date has reached a plateau. Then you want to really look at your destiny. You want to look at the road that's in front of you. Your character is directly linked to your road. You can't get around it. And the choices that you make, what you feed your mind with. So if your character development has reached a plateau, create a shift in polarity based on what you're learning and what you're feeding your head with. This is why, again, the advantage is sometimes I teach people to learn different spiritual systems and straight up different religions, because it will give you different perspectives in that sense, different things to kind of consider and look at. So I would urge you, if you feel like you've reached a plateau, it's time for you to learn a new religion. And I didn't say, convert to a new religion, just learn a new religion. Learn and study those things, and you'll see it will help you immensely in those areas. Michelle says, this reminds me to get back on my Reiki game. Give thanks, Chief. For sure. Babalu Aye, Lotus Scholar says, I used to hear Cecilia Cruz always say or sing about him. Tosin says, unify the community, but you can't save the world. Yeah, but it depends on what you consider the world to be. For some people, their community is their world. So the world essentially is our perception of it. I know some people that the whole world is a 4-block radius. Everything happens right there, man. So, yeah, man, it's subjective. Tareem says, if the physical realm and it's the physical realm, I think you're saying, and it's up to us to unify and get rid of the cancerous cells. Up to y'all. I ain't doing all that. Have at it. That sounds like too much work. Have at it. Tosin says, you know what happens to thriving black communities, right? Yeah, they get bombed. Well, I don't know what your answer was, but that's what my answer is. Yeah, they get bombs dropped on them, and then the leadership of the community gets told that you find out that, or you're told that they're caught up in a sex scandal, or they touching little children, or they stealing money or something, and they get deported. Okay. Vivid Eye says, I've noticed that when I have a disagreement or anything with people, the minute I show any sort of irritation, it's a huge thing in their eyes, which makes me borderline irate. Well, sometimes, Vivid Eye, people utilize disagreement in order to bring out your gems. You see? So what you're seeing as a disagreement, for them is really actually a learning moment. You see, and for you to be upset, it's like a teacher being annoyed. Some people don't have the humility just to say, you know what, I don't know about this particular thing, and I would like to learn about it. Can you teach me? So what they do instead is they create arguments with you, or they antagonize you. And in that process, you're going to go, they know, because people know how to play other people out. They know that you're going to go through so much work, especially if you're an emotional person, like you've said. You're going to go through so much work to try to disprove them and stand, on the convictions of your point, that you'll probably bring out gems that you never would have brought out before. You're going to bring out your best self just to try to prove or disprove whatever it is that they're saying. Some people use antagonism for scholarship. I don't like people like that. But, to each their own. Sometimes you got to learn just to say, all right. All right. You got that. All right. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You could be right. All right. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. All right. Cool. Let's still be friends. Lainey Catherine says, I recently learned a trick called Song of the Moment, which means just making up a song in that moment. For that moment, it seems to help me clear away false selves or false ideas about who I am. Yeah, and some systems, they call that your heart song, what you're calling the song of the moment. And for some people, their heart song, once they make it up, they keep it all the time. And then for some, they freestyle it in a sense. It's almost like freestyle movement. Yeah, it is very effective. Even also freestyle writing, in that sense, is very effective. And certain Islamic systems, that's a form of divination. They utilize freestyle writing. Obviously we're talking about Sufism. But song of the moment is powerful, man. And just freestyle. See what comes up. It's really healthy to do that if you have a drum. If you have a drum and what you do first you start with dance. Even if you can't dance, just twirl around in a circle, to kind of mix up your polarity a little bit. Then drum, and either you can sing while you're drumming, or just freestyle drum, even if you don't know what you're doing and it just sounds like whatever, just do that, and then you can do your song, and you'll see it's very, very cleansing. It's really, really good. You know, Anwar says the vivid eye. It should be good. Let's see. I'm in a similar space when dealing with the plateau. I've been trying to expand my environment by doing things I normally do not. Something that relates to where I need to be. Yeah, yeah. So Vivid Eye says, "Peace, Chief. I appreciate the advice. Perhaps the Kabbalah." Nope, because you came up with that too quick. Not the Kabbalah, and you've already heard me talk about the Kabbalah. Go further left. Pick a system and a people that you maybe here. Learn about the dream time of the Aborigines. Learn about that. There's a lot of different systems. You see. Learn about the systems coming out of Scandinavia. I'm telling you, it'll be better that way. Trust me, it will, because it's gonna put your mind in a completely different space. And that not doing things that you normally would. That's the key, man. Sometimes we have to figure out different ways to confront our core issues, and we're dancing around them. That's what I was speaking about earlier, and like I said, we learn to manage to bury ourselves sometimes. It becomes a very dysfunctional mechanism inside of us where we bury ourselves from view, so that only philosophy can answer some of the dysfunctions that's inside of us. We remove our mind and our logical reasoning from the process. And a lot of times when you learn different religions, you learn different convictions. You see, so people will say, well, this is wrong, or that's wrong, or we look at the world this way, or look at nature this way. And, ultimately, especially when you're dealing with indigenous systems, you're going to find things that you're going to relate to. You know what I'm saying? That's why I use the word indigenous so much. You see, you start to see the universal nature of it all. Tosan says, I want Chief to be my sensei. The student will be ready. Yeah, I don't know if you want that. But we begin to kind of reduce and eliminate some of the ideas. Hey man, let me ask y'all this. Speaking of that, I know he's going off into something else. Yes, I'm going off into something else. Because he's whiny behind children. If you had a son who went to go play basketball one night, right? And he's playing basketball for free, so you don't really care nothing about it. It's not like it's boxing where you're learning a skill that you're going to use for the rest of your life. You just bouncing, you're just playing basketball. And he goes to play basketball and he sprains his ankle, right? You take him to the hospital, everything, he's jacked up, right? And then you tell him, well, you got to go to school early. You got tutoring, man. You got to go to school early for tutoring and all that. And the school is like maybe 2 hours away. And he starts copping excuses because he says, well, Baba, I'm on crutches. Well, not Baba. Let's just say hypothetically speaking. Hypothetically speaking. Do you all think that 2 hours is too far for a young person to walk on crutches? I want to know your feedback on that. And if that young person who's supposed to be some kind of athlete says, Baba, is real tiring, would you, well, not Baba, I'm saying, or Mama, hypothetically speaking, would you feel sorry for that young person, or would you say, boy, get the F out of my face and walk your behind to school? I don't care how tiring it is. Nobody told you to go play basketball. You should have took your behind home and worked on your book so you wouldn't have to be in tutoring. Would you say that? Or would you, I don't know, I guess feel sorry for them? Royal Honey Jaha says it's too far to walk. Okay. All right. That's one. That's one vote. That's one vote in the wrong direction. How old? 16. But not okay, but let me give some background. Not a regular 16, because most 16-year-olds like look small. A 6'2", muscular, athletic, 6'2", 6'2" tall, muscular, strong, 16 years old. All right, so Vivid Eye asked the age. Tosin says, "Let mom feel sorry. Baba keeps him on schedule. That's what I'm saying. You just mean you gotta leave your behind earlier, and bring some musk oil with you to put under your armpits." But I'm gonna listen to the votes. I don't want to try to sway your vote on that one, right? Because I was looked at like I was a tyrant. Marvin the Magi says, "I walked, so will my son." I'm thinking the same thing. Jade Shola, Jade Shola says, "Greetings, Chief. Is too far in my opinion." Okay, all right. So we got three sisters. Sonia says too far. Carlene says, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. So sorry. I would feel so sorry for. Wow, all the sisters are saying it's too far. Nasim is saying I used to walk 3 miles to school. Well, 3 miles is actually my limit for rides, or my maximum or minimum, I guess. I always tell them if it's anything under 3 miles, or if it's 3 miles or under, you ain't getting no lift. I don't care where it's at. You can walk 3 miles. They think that's too harsh. But come on, man. I'm gonna get in my car, turn my ignition, wearing out my ignition coils, wearing out my battery to take you somewhere you could have walked in 20 minutes or 40 minutes, depending on how. I mean, to me, I don't see anything wrong with an hour-long walk. I walk sometimes for an hour to get where I want to go. Clears your head. If you read a lot of ancient scriptures, all of the prophets walked. That's why I always started walk. I used to start walk when I was young, because I used to read all of the holy men walked. So it means that, to me, walking is a very sacred thing. Gives you opportunity to think. Plus, all they do is put play them stupid songs in their pocket from their phone the whole time. So it ain't like you thinking anyway. But I don't know. Raw Honey says I'm just mean. Sure, I ain't mean. Tareen says, "I will clear walk cross town from school as a youth." That's what I'm saying. 5 miles. Right. All right, I'm going to keep going through. Let me see. Nasim says 3 miles. Tosin says, "I got way too much leeway as a sweet little boy." Yeah, so you should have walked. Vivid Eye says, let him walk for a while. Give him a supply pack. Which I did. Good. Colleen said, "I used to walk to school, but not with crutches." Hey, man, nobody told him to go play basketball. All right? Nobody told him to do that. See, that's the problem when you're youth. They shoot up like giraffes at a young age, man. They don't know how to move themselves. Boy wear a size 14 shoe. Hey, man. We all. Hey, man. I mean, I don't know, man. Let me read some of these things. MGC Randy, man, a great character, said that's a man. Right, 6'2". I mean, he ain't as thick. He ain't a plus size like me, but he's big and wide and muscular. That's a grown man. That's what I said too. I would walk on the crutches. Now Sim says he better walk. Anwar says no deal. Let them young warriors get their stamina and determination on. Thank you. And Tareen said he walked 5 miles across town. Michelle says walking on crutches builds character. I should have said that too. I mean, hypothetically speaking. I'm not saying it can help him reconsider what he invests his health in. Exactly. Carlene says, "But I'm moaning while he getting the lift." I don't know about that. Lainey says, "If all the men are hard, I feel responsibility to be soft to keep balance." I feel you. I'm with you with that. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I'm with you. But I don't think it's hard to me. I don't know. I feel like sometimes especially as men and women, we lose a lot of our character and our grit because life is too soft. We're too addicted to the luxuries of life, and through the luxuries of life, our brains become very dull. In that sense, So I think we all need a little bit of ruggedness sometimes. We all need those push through moments sometimes, man, to help bring clarity. Tosin says, Chief, I almost believe one always right. So why would you doubt your convictions? Well, this is hypothetical. This isn't me. Remember? Now Sim says I'm walking now. See? Renee says, good evening, everyone. Chief, I think it's too far. Just a mother's opinion. Okay. Maroon Beauty 21 says, the problem is, as a mother, I would, but since you asked, I guess I would be wrong. Loda Scholar says, if he muscular, he'll be all right. And them long legs, he's like a freaking gazelle. But if he got some game, he can use this to his advantage with the ladies and have them feel sorry for him and carry his books. LMAO. He already did that, which is the problem. Not just carry the books, Lo. He had the girl's aunt pick him up at 6 o'clock. At 6:45 in the morning. See what I'm saying? They're like freaking wolves, man. And why is he in tutoring? Because the same girl was doing his homework and messing it up. Does he see anything wrong with that? No. He gets upset with the girl. I mean, hypothetically speaking, if if that happened. Nicole Mass says, I walked all the time in the snow. See? Walk, baby boy. Gina, I'm going to copy all these and show them to him. I mean, if it was a real thing. JR says, cause and effect walk. Right. Who told you to go play basketball? Jade Shola says, what if he further injures himself? How's he going to injure himself? That ankle's up in the air. He's on crutches. Nah, and it's only like 2 miles. There ain't going to be no injuries. Hey, man, that's why they make high curbs. Sit down on the side of the curb and rest and then go some more. Sister Kia says, I would step back and allow Bible to rule. Yeah, that's what's been happening, but I'm just curious. Sometimes it's good to, step back and get a bird's eye. Vivid Eye says, it's the crutches the ladies are getting hung up on. Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what they see in that boy, man. Doggone knucklehead. Right, Anwar, exactly. When it got easy, the commitments became small and weak. That's what I said. Keeping God first says, my son has been in this situation. I made him walk on crutches, and I'm a woman. Tareen says, when you walking, it's like meditation. Right, I could go for hours and let you... Right, hours of walking. That's my thing, man. Try walking the beach. You could go for hours and miles. Right. Sounds like, Vivid Eye says, sounds like she running game to spend more time on. That's exactly what she's doing, which I had to put him up on. That's exactly what's happening. Really what it is, she's not running game to spend time with him. She was running game to solidify her spot. That's what that was really about. To kind of make herself, oh man, my lighter done ran out. Oh man, my night is over. I knew I should have lit a candle. Why me? Why me, Lord? But yeah, yeah, she was trying to lock her spot in, man. Because hypothetically speaking, my youth, if it was my youth, but these youth are practice plurality, open plurality. So ain't no secrets, ain't no sneaking around, ain't no cheating, ain't no creeping. So she's trying to lock that spot in. But she messed it up. I messed it up the homework. I said, man, what's wrong with you, boy? I mean, hypothetically speaking. Anyway, it takes me, wow, look at that. It takes me 45 minutes to walk 3 miles. That's Sister Kia. He can do it. He can do it. It's meditative. Lotus Scholar says, I'm on a walker with an injury worse than that, and I walk as much as I can, especially around the hospital. I say, F that wheelchair. Let him walk. If he get blisters, easy fix. Right. And Laney says, what if a system was set up so he could quit and call for a ride, but the consequences would be embarrassing? I don't know about that, Laney. Yeah, he could call for a ride. He could quit because he would just quit, and he doesn't care about embarrassment. That ain't gonna work with this one. That ain't gonna work with this youth. He would quit one block out and just get the ride, and just that would be the end of it. He's not easily embarrassed. That's the problem. Almost says, you've been flicking that light of the whole show. Me and Tareen in the studio hearing everything in your room. You got to have a Neumann mic. Nah, it's not a Neumann. It's SM57. Crutches have evolved. Yeah, they're much more comfortable. But even if they didn't, even if we made a crutch, it's 2 miles, man. That ain't nothing. When I have them, well, hypothetically, when I have them training, they're running 7 miles. No problem. At high speeds. So come on, man. I don't know, man. I just thought about it. I'm not going to change anything, per se. But I was just curious where the thought was on that. If how you all would approach a situation like that. I feel that children need to struggle more, man. Men and women need to struggle more. We're so soft a lot of times that we get locked into, like I said, some very sick creature comforts, which cause us a lot of sickness for us, man. And we develop atrophy. We don't move enough. We just always finding ways to get out of movement, man. Sometimes we find real elaborate ways to get out of picking things up off of the floor. Yeah. And Low put it right, man. I'm in a walk and I'm still walking around the hospital. As a vet, rucking is what we do. Just tell them it's a warrior's work, and Justin say, are you a warrior? Then quit your bitching and take the march. LMAO. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. They numb to the warrior talk now. Now to be like, I am, but Baba is 2 miles. It takes me, what he said, it takes me 40 minutes. So what? Leave earlier. So what? 40 minutes. Shoot, it takes me 40 minutes if I take you there and then realize it's real early and I don't have any appointments yet. And then I go over to the supermarket and stand in front of the donut aisle and then tell myself, nobody's donuts, man. What's wrong with you, man? And then start playing with my belly button and staring at the donuts and the bagels, and then don't buy none of that, and then go get a coconut water, and then jump back in the car, and then drive back home. By the time I do all of that, that's 40 minutes. So you might as well just walk the 40 minutes. Yeah, man. So anyway, I know that was a side note, man, but I just had to really get some of the people's feedback on that one, man. I was curious how other people regard that, because sometimes you begin to live by a system of codes and mores that no one else cares anything about, and you're preparing yourself, or maybe preparing your youth for a certain future. You almost feel like Sarah O'Connor in the Terminator. It's like, is this thing really gonna happen? And people are looking at you in a way where it's like, is it too much, or why do they have to do these things? Why they gotta eat like this? Or, why is this so important that they know how to fight? And, the girls know these particular things, and this, and not to say that you question your culture in that sense, but sometimes it's just curious to see people who may not have the same commitment, or maybe coming from a different angle, if they intrinsically maybe do some of those same things, man. As far as boys, man, I don't care how hard boys struggle, be honest with you. Boys should be sweaty and stinky at the end of the day. You know what I mean? When you become a man, then you can be smooth, and you can get out of things. But you got to know what it's like to struggle, to have calluses on your hands, man, to have to lift heavy things, to pull heavy things, push heavy things, and everything like that, and push yourself beyond your limits, and then figure out ways to work around it, man. That's me. I just think, again, people are a bit too comfortable nowadays, and we don't examine the human experience in that sense, to discover maybe where there's aberrations in our development because of what we're not moving into, man. We there's certain circuits in our mind and certain circuits just in our intuition that we don't even activate. So we start to develop psychosomatic ills because we start to see ourselves as invalid when we're not really invalid. That's kind of my thing. It's like you have the faculties and abilities to do certain things, but you're always afraid you're gonna break this, or you're gonna do this or do that, and even a sprain. All right, you got a sprain, man. Get over it. Keep it moving. Keep it pushing. It's just a sprain. It's just one foot. Like, you got another foot. You don't even really need that one. You got another one. So I don't know. It's the same way I feel. I mean, when I was a youth once, man, I got a stick jammed into my eye. It was real bad, man. I thought I was gonna lose the eye, and I had to, go to the doctor in the emergency room and everything. They worked on me, man, and put a patch over. And I remember even then saying, I mean, I couldn't have been any older than maybe 9, and I remember saying, well, I got another one. Sometimes stuff be broke on you. you know, sometimes you don't grow up with everything. You're missing a finger or a fingertip, or you got 6 toes or 4 toes or something like that. Man, you just keep pushing and you move through life, man. You learn to kind of deal and work through that adversity, man. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a little different when it comes to stuff like that, man. But young boys, man, need to learn how to sweat sometimes, man. They need to learn how to develop their muscles, man, and control their own body, man, and see where some of their limits are, where their thresholds are, because a lot of times we can push ourselves way beyond what we think, man. And as a point, it Justin says, I still have 9 fingertips. Maroon Beauty says, you're right, Chief. It is hard for some women to see their kids suffer, but with the man's view, some of us will bend. Yeah, it is hard, and that's your job. Yeah, of course you don't want to see anybody suffer. That's understandable. I mean, I don't want to see my youth suffer, but I don't have a problem seeing them struggle. It's a little different. You struggle all day. I watch you from the window drinking lemonade, struggling all day. I don't have a problem with that, because I knew through the struggle, that struggle will bring out character. You'll get a sense of what I am in this moment, where my breaking points are, if I can push beyond my breaking points, if I can kill the old me and move to a better and newer me. No, I don't. Suffering is a little harder. Laney says, I estimate the strength of men was comparing the youth to me. I wonder what the equivalent struggle should be for girls. Yeah, with girls, again, it's like, you got I think girls should struggle physically sometimes, for one. But a lot of that, a woman's struggle is dealing with the mind more than anything. You got to look at what primarily you're going to be dependent on, and what you're designed for within the world or outside, in the world. With a woman, a lot of times what she's struggling and learning to do is to properly view and see her emotions in the right perspective, and developing characteristics of virtue, becoming, as they say, the virtuous woman. And virtue, if you break down the word, one of the meanings of virtue means manly, but what it's speaking about is the integrity and the honor and the discipline that is usually synonymous with the masculine element. So that's the struggle a lot of times for girls, having that sense of intuitive control over the emotions and intuitive control over her logic. Only certain females have that. That's a hard struggle. You tell a young girl, don't be so emotional, say okay, and as soon as something happens, she's spinning out of control again. It's very hard. in that sense. With young boys, their challenges a lot of times come through their physicality. Fights, climbing things, getting hurt. You know, crying but still maintaining their toughness and things like that. So the physicality is really where it's their learning ground, in a sense where they learn a lot of different things. But I say even girls a lot of times, need to struggle a little bit. Learn how to farm or carry things that, carry groceries a distance. Some of those things again that we keep from young girls, and it's great to have them soft, absolutely. But there's nothing wrong with, you know, uh, young ladies who know how to fence, or know tai chi, or know basic body work exercises, or are willing to push themselves past their limit, because especially when you live in such a volatile environment, you never know what situations you may be in where you have to pull from that. I've always said that, when I was very centered on collapse scenarios, you walking through the woods or whatever, will she keep up? Will she push herself, or will she just say, I can't do this? I've been in situations before with females where, sometimes because of what they think they can't do, they lose all sense of reason on what needs to be done. Sometimes they just don't, the flexibility is not there in the mind, and the flexibility is not there in the body. I remember when I was a very young boy, here's another Wednesday night story. Very young. I snuck a girl into the house, right? Well, I didn't really sneak her in because nobody was home. But the father came home, right? I'm hearing his cars. Because, when you're young, you know your parents' car. You know your parents' keys. What keys the sound make. And I said, I don't want to be graphic, but we were in it. We the room was lit up with the smells of love making, and young love making. That young love making is different. I hear my father say, "Oh, I'm terrified." I said, Get in the closet. Get in the closet." I don't want to get in the closet. I said, "What?" I might have caught a charge right there in that moment and just stuffed her in the closet after. But I'm thinking, my father, man, no, we ain't got no type of house like that. No, I can't get away with stuff. He'll kill me. It's not like how I am with my youth. But nah, I can't do that. you know. So finally got her in the closet. She's sitting there whining, making noise, and he must have known something was up, because he came in, and I don't even want to say what I did. Maybe I'll tell the guys on the side. But I had to do something to get some of the loving off of my hands and fingers. Let's just say that. And so he comes in. I rush out the room, close the door behind me, and he's like, "Oh, you home early?" I was like, "Yeah, I just came to get something." And he's like, "All right, yeah, I had to come and stop and get something too." He was like, "Hey, man, let me show you something." He was, we work on cars. So he's like, "Yeah, man, I took apart the touch and such. Let me show you, man, the cylinder chamber." I'm like, "Man, now?" And then I'm wondering if I still have the smell, the musk of the loving on me. So I'm nervous. And he keeps looking at, he's looking at side. He was like, "You all right, man?" Like, yeah. And so we went through that. So he was in the back messing with the car. So I raced back up to the room. I said, come on. And she moving all slow. I said, "Come on, get down these steps." And I said, "When I bring you out to the front, go to the bushes in the front of the house." And duck down in the bushes till he pull up. I don't want to duck down in no bush. Man, I almost caught a charge. That body was about to be laying in the bushes on the side of the house. So I never forget that. And this is I can't even remember how long ago this was. It was a long time ago. I didn't even have a beard, back then. It was so long ago. But you remember that moment, and how some people sometimes won't push themselves past their comfort zones, no matter how serious the situation is. They will not push themselves past their comfort zones, and they could possibly put everyone's life at risk. So yeah, young girls have to push past. Yeah, Lo, I think she was trying to get me caught, and I don't know why, because father didn't like her anyway. So that would have just been bad all the way around. He didn't like her, which for good reason, But she had a grown woman's body. So hey man, young boys, we gotta explore the land. So yeah, man, that struggle is important a lot of times to create that fluidity and that flexibility in the mind and be able to do what's needed in the moment. And I love that, even in women, women who have that flexibility where um, they come into a space and they can look at it and say, oh, we can make it out of this. We can decorate. They're able to kind of have that vision of flexibility. Tareen says Pops would have came in like, carry on. Yeah, right. I'm my Pops. Nah, he's friendly now. Everybody think he's Pops. Yeah, it wasn't like that when I was young. Nah, it would have been bloody. Yeah, it would have been real bloody. He wasn't having that, man. I don't know. He always thought I was kind of I was prone to distractions. I have a lot of let's see, what would we call them? Let's just say I got a lot of ladies, men, in my family, and some of them have kind of built their livity and their culture around being ladies' men. I think there was a bit of a fear there that I might fall into at a age that was too young, fall into some of those same trappings, and yeah. Yeah, it would have been bloody toasting. Like he would have, probably thrown me out a window or something like that, man. I had a real creative Pops when it came to discipline, man. He'd come up with new stuff every week. Oh, I just saw this Chinese torture where they put these bamboo splints under the fingernails. We're gonna do that, stuff like that. So I'm joking. But yeah, so yeah, that flexibility and that struggling and being able to push beyond the moment is key. But like I said, and it also helps young girls to get out of the reactive mind so much and to start getting more into the detective mind when they have that flexibility. I think it's very important for young girls to be able to detect, because again, like I say, women are the problem reporters. So when they're able to invest in those sense of seeing how various organic mentalities are represented in the world, or how, like I said, certain psychosomatic ills come apart and come about, and certain principles come about unvaried, and they start to get it to a place where their mind is not so reactive, but they can sense things going on. They can start to learn about the circuits of the mind. They start to learn about even some of the stiffness that comes as a result of not investing into that kind of thinking. And they start to tap into the hidden and single sources of certain people's psychosis. That all comes from struggle with young ladies. It's different for them. When they can crack that open. It's very sad, because in this society, young women are really, really, really kept from their power in multiple ways. Not just because they're not really taught about their femininity, but it's arched and defined in such a very connective, fielded way, where they can't really step outside of those fields very much and see the things that they are good at. I had a sister. One time, Ebo came up where she had to dance, and I set up a space, and I was doing a reading and doing some work for her. She had to dance for like 2-3 hours straight. Can you push and move beyond that? Can you push and move beyond what those conduits, of cells inside of you have told you and dictated to you? Can you move beyond your fear of incapacitation or injury, or how the extremity of that bodily movement may impact you? So yeah, it's necessary for us all to have those moments of pushing and moving beyond. Tosin says you mentioned bamboo torture. This is the sixth time. I'm like, this is the right guy. Yeah, I'm not suggesting bamboo torture though, brother. So I don't know if you understood that exactly. But yeah, you really want to get to that place where you start to kind of just see some of the full force of what you bring to the world, and sometimes we don't get really we don't really get an opportunity to do that if we're so obsessed on protecting things, protecting the mind, protecting the body. We focus on protection a little bit too much. Maybe you were a person who was meant to have one eye, or lose a finger, or lose a toe, or have scars and gashes. Sometimes we forget the temporal and transient nature of the body itself, and we create this psychosomatic medicine, or the psychosomatic medicinal field around our experiences, where it becomes very preventive, and it becomes, a lot of these things are done out of fear in that sense, and young ladies do it, and young boys do it, and I'm just not a big fan of that. I'm really not. I think we need to learn to push. I think we need to learn to push. Tosin Sommer said, back when the TV still had booty. Oh, you taking it back in the days. By TVs, I guess you're not. Are you saying? I hope you're not saying transvestites, but yeah, the televisions. Yeah, it's back in the days, man. I was a real young boy, just exploring, and sometimes that happens. When you're exploring and you don't have a place yet to explore. You have to make do with what you have. So yeah, it's just some of the things we're covering, and I'm not going to go too far off into too much of that. But the diagnosis, like I was just saying earlier, when you look at the diagnosis of your own character, or the diagnosis of your own intellect, and you kind of learn to audit yourself in that sense, that really comes a lot of times, or the easiness of it, comes a lot of time through our ability to regress through our natural processes, but also to regress inward, but outwardly to see all of the characters who've manifested in our working environment, and then get a sense of, well, this is who I am. Sometimes we spend a lot of time shooing away people, or trying to relieve ourselves of what we've inherited in our environment. We don't want to own what we've inherited through our own karma, so we spend a lot of time distinctively processing the things that we just want to process, and ignoring the others, making gradations of a spectrum of demons because of what we choose to ignore. Lainey says attachments to the unnecessary. Yeah, exactly. We have to face that darkness sometimes, man. And, we have to look, like I said, within ourselves, and kind of see, the pendulum. It swings for a reason. Some of us, we have high swinging pendulums. Some of us have low swinging pendulums. But we pretend a lot of times that they're not swinging where they're swinging. And we don't look at our different dynamics that exist within us, man. This is all related to character. Those questions about Ori and character. I know throughout this whole segment, I've not used too many Yoruba terms, but the perceptic correlations that sometimes we have with these ideas is off. Laney says, attachments to unnecessary has gotten in the way of my observation faculties. Had never considered that. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it just creates a trembling, just a tremble enough, in your vision or in your lashes, when you have that hesitation that comes from your attachments, and we bring ourselves down to a sleep state, so you have to learn to start courting your struggle a little bit. I know that sounds a little crazy, may even sound a little scary, but courting the things that push you outside. One of the things, like give you an easy example. We talk about detachments. A lot of times, sometimes, even the young boys, sometimes they come around and they have questions about girls and stuff. I've always been very, very, very open. Hey, peace, Vivid Eye. Yeah, we're gonna close out soon. I know a lot of you got to get to sleep, but I've always been very open about, what some of the things that we do as young people, and I guess I've always stayed very connected to that time, so it's helped me to be relevant. So a lot of times young people will bring things to me that they may not bring to other people, like, questions about their sexuality or interacting with the complementary sex or sometimes same sex, and when I'm seeing that certain young guys or whatever, usually guys have anxieties about their abilities, or like Lainey is saying, observation faculties, but just their faculties of to approach or to be with someone, and they're deathly afraid of rejection because, of course, generated by fear. I'll have them fast. It's one of the best things you could do. Fast. Take something you think you can't live without and live without it. Give me your phone for a month. Or unplug your router. Or that shirt that you look so good in, or those shirts, put them away for a while. Don't get a haircut. Whatever it is, whatever your thing is, but fast from it. And start to get yourself in a place where you realize that, what you bring in, what you have is what you need. Not the attachments, not the addendums and the appendages, that you've used to find security in and create a personality around. So when you're able to start to treat your experience from that place where you learn that you can live without a lot of things that you think you're wholly in love with, and you can start to look at the circuits of your life, the circuits that exist within your life, and separate yourself from them, then you'll be able to move a little higher up because of the distraction. I mean the detachment. You'll kind of conceive of a whole new self, or a whole new sense of self in that sense, when you can pull back from some of those attachments. So that's something a lot of times I advise, and they always look at me like I'm crazy. I say, yeah, just fast from something. Sugar, don't drink any soda, or meat. Leave the meat for a while, for a month or so, and then you'll see that you don't need those girls as bad as you think you do. Once you realize that, then it'll be easier to talk to them and maybe face the possibility of rejection. So it's the same thing, like, what you just said, Lainey. Attachment to the unnecessary has gotten in the way of my observation faculties. Exactly. But sometimes it's difficult to determine how unnecessary the unnecessary is without first sacrificing it from us. And in order to do that, we have to, sometimes it only takes the slightest effort. It doesn't, it's not a whole lot that we have to do sometimes, but we're just afraid to do it. We're afraid to roughly look at the psychology, of our own attachments and why we're attached to certain things, and how easy it can be to create a drive effort to get rid of them, or how they block our drive efforts and they begin to psychosomatically intimidate us, So a lot of things to that. A lot of things. All right. Woo. I know I kept it light tonight, but for some reason I'm just kind of. It's been a trying day. I won't lie. It has been a trying day. I'm gonna give you all an opportunity to post your questions. Any questions you may have, any ideas that you want answered. You already see what I did to Brother Akili earlier, so make sure it's well thought out. Okay, and then I'm gonna come back, and if any questions, I'll answer them. If not, then I'm gonna bid you all adieu. All right, so let's see. You know what I'm gonna do, right? You know what I'm gonna do, right? Talk about regressive reductive therapy. Look at this. You know, I'm gonna play an old cut. Let's see if I can find it. All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. All right. All right, and I'll be right back. All right. So, any questions or whatever, just feel free to post them. I see there's still a lot of people on. All right. Now, let me give you a warning. This song probably has some profanity in it. Your children should be asleep. I don't remember what a profanity is because I did the song a very long time ago with a good brother, the same one I played another cut with another time. And I don't remember all the lyrics, but we had a real fun time making the song. All right. So another track I never finished, but brings me back. It's one of those we're going way back in time tracks. All right. So I'm gonna play this and I'll be right back.
Yo, is it just me? Or is like every hip hop video like a car commercial now, man? Y'all be looking like fools. No talent having non-creative motherfuckers. Give me back my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. I want back my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. Give me back my came to spit a minute, rip it, getting sicker with it. Lost in the world, caught in a swirl and spinning in it. Into the realm of money and drugs, thugs and slugs. Iced out medallions and chains and fake love. Where rappers beef with each other to boost the sell of their records and stupid shooting each other. But who the fuck am I telling? They rather hear negativity and beef with the enemy than hear me spit the truth to you through a beautiful melody. I know you smelling me. If you do, then you would be helping me. But you rappers say nothing, count your money and live selfishly. It's crazy what people do for the cheddar, the mozzarella, whatever for the skrilla, spitterilla with a vendetta. Beretta cock, ready to rock, steady the shot. I study the dummy, bloody money is all that you got. The industry, you turn your biggest dream into a memory. I miss you hip hop, cause you always been a friend. Give me back my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. What happened to my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop? Damn, I miss my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. What happened to my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop? Give me back. The only thing I do is spit flame. Fucking with me is like having Bin Laden driving your plane. It's like shooting without trying to aim. Stupid, what's the point? There's no use hiding your pain. Call me crazy, but I ain't insane. No, cause beef is real. Mad rappers done died in the game. That's why you see more rappers with vests on. Why's that? Cause you can't spit 16 with half of your chest gone. Been waiting for the day to bless y'all. It's fucked up. Niggas gotta die just to sell out their best song. Think I'm not hot, you guess wrong. If you can outspit me, I'll give you my left arm. Cause y'all niggas ain't that nice. I know you good at something, but trust me, it ain't that might. I seen your future and it ain't that bright. When I'm finished with you, homeboy, you gonna hate that mic. Give me back my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. What happened to my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop? Damn, I miss my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. What happened to my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop? Give me back my. The earth is depleting, the serpent is scheming. They learning from demons. I hope that I'm dreaming. Return to Garden of Eden. My heart is still beating. Say goodbye to me tomorrow. I'm leaving. I'm tired of grieving. Why deaf? I need a reason. Inside my mind feels like I'm bleeding. I feel like I'm leaving, but ain't going nowhere. Everything is deceiving, misleading. That's why I don't believe everything that I'm seeing. There's a reason why my people can't get a job. And give me back my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. What happened to my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop? Give me back my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. Damn, I miss my hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. Give me back my.
All right. Give me back my enlightenment and transformation. All right, cool. Yeah, please excuse the profanity. Like I said, I normally when I play my songs, I try to like edit them real quick. Take out the stuff, but There's a lot of them, and a lot of songs that I did so long ago. I don't really remember all the curses. So that was one of them. Oh, and Anwar asked Chief, "Did you make that track?" Yeah, I did. Yeah, long time ago. Long time, long time. We make the track. You know, but yeah, another life ago. Nah, not another life ago. Wasn't that long ago, but yeah, a long time ago. But yeah, that's the brother who's no longer with us in the physical. I think I played something from him. Oh, Tamika. I played you the Tamika track. You know, um, brother has since transitioned. Chief, you got to get me that beat I spoke to you about. Yeah, you know what, Anwar? I don't remember what beat you were talking about though. I know you wanted me to give you a beat. You said something I was talking over. I need a little sample or something. I don't remember uh the beat you were referring to. Um so yeah, if you got a little sample of it, like I think I was talking over it, you said, yeah, I'll get it to you. You know, the beat hard as the iron wall. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you know, people don't do hard beats anymore though. So I mean that's how you can tell that track is old too, you know. But yeah, just let me know which one it is. Cool. You know, you can use it I don't for whatever you want to use it for. Um like I said, most of these things are sitting on my hard drive, just you know, so nothing wrong with breathing some new life into them, you know. Tolson says it is recommendable to 180 your schedule. Do your spiritual training, documenting, contemplating scheduling to the nighttime because I'm so much more in tune at night. I write better music, etc. Yeah, you know, you might be a night bird. You know what I mean? Some of us we exist out here. You know what I mean? It's just you vibe more and at nighttime vibration like that, you know, that's real. You know. Sometimes it's good even to switch that polarity. I think it's always nice to go by the sun, man. You know, whenever you have the opportunity to use the sun as kind of your guider for what you do, you know, sometimes even in the sense of like you know, like just turning off the electricity, you know, in your home. You ever notice when the power goes out, when there's an issue, how peaceful it is? And you know, like at night, how cool, especially if you get a power outage in the summertime, how nice it feels when all those electromagnetic waves are cut in the house. And it's just cool. It doesn't feel hot. It just feels nice and cool, you know. So yeah, man, the nighttime is always a nice thing. But yeah, I see what you say. You'll find it. Yeah, man. If you find it, I'll shoot it over to you. You know, hopefully I have it somewhere. You know, I have tracks spread all over the place, man. But I'm sure if we use it on the show, then it's somewhere probably most likely accessible. You know, that's not a problem at all, man. You know, not a problem at all. I like sharing. I like sharing music and seeing sometimes what people do with it too. You know, that particular track that was supposed to be for a girl, a little girl. And he heard it. He was like, "Yo, you gotta give me that. You gotta give me that. Shorty, you understand? Give us something else." All right, okay. Let's see what you do with it. You know, and you know, I think he did a pretty good job with it. You know, Carlene says, "Yeah, that's what happens in Jamaica. It's beautiful, beautifully quiet. Yeah, at night, right? It's just nice and cool. You know, you can really think, man. There's nothing like having a conversation with someone at night when the power goes out. You know, the intimacy of the conversation is always beautiful. You know, when the power goes out. Sometimes it's good just to hit that main switch. I was doing that for a little while. I got lazy with it, but at night I used to turn off the main switch. And then I went on solar, so then it's you know it's very easy to do that. But even with the solar system, you could feel the difference. You know, the power is cleaner. You know, but yeah, man. So we're gonna Sister Kia says, "True, I like dark streets. I can see the stars." Yeah, yeah. You know, that's good living right there. It really is. It's the simple things sometimes, you know. A lot of times, just through our study and our work, you know, like I said, we tend to overcomplicate the ordering of energies and how life transmits and influences matter, because we just don't understand the basics of the principles, man. And sometimes it's just some very easy, simple things that um, can bring the most profound experiences. You know, it's the intertwining of those simple things, man, that become, a lot of times in this world, it's like having locks, having your hair locked, and you put too many additives in your locks when you first started making them. So now your hair is locked around old oil and grease from all your products, like beeswax. Sometimes beeswax will do that. So it's not really strong because it's not hair locked together. It's it's grease, so you could just pull it to lock apart. It'll just break off, and they're usually very hard because the oil and the grease and the additives harden after a while. Well, it's very similar in the same way with our life, man. We're intertwining, the animal nature with the human nature, or the alive nature with the transient nature, in a sense. And when we allow so many things to come in between that beautiful dance and that interlinking between the two, like two entwined serpents, then it actually weakens the connection to the greater aspects, or the higher levels. Sometimes we do that without even thinking, because we're seeking, we think things are supposed to be more complicated. And sometimes it's just as simple as the power going out and having a nice conversation at nighttime and being able to hear and listen, because there's no power. We get to return to like a space and time of simple observation, where we're bound up, in the motionless. That's a nice feeling, man. You try it sometimes. you know, Sometimes you get that when you go camping. You get to have that experience where things are symbolizing and around you in a very quiet and involuted way. You know, I don't know. Maybe you might feel that level of density of stillness, or maybe you just might want the lights to come back on. I guess everybody is different in that sense, but yeah, I certainly do enjoy it myself. You know, the dissension. Colleen says the moon was huge here the other night. Gorgeous. Yeah, big moons are always nice. Big moons bring out the big crazy too, though. Always bring out the big crazy. The big moons could be problematic. You know what I mean? Yeah. If people don't know how to handle the big moons, man, then all of the why and hows that lie underneath the subconscious begin to come to the surface, and they start to create a lot of confusion of why and how all around them. And, of course, we call it the lunacy from the lunatics. You know, but yeah, it's always good. The moon brings out the fertilizing principles of the planet, which is always nice too. All right, we're gonna head out. I know I'm a little subdued this evening. Like I said, it was a very trying day, you know. But we'll hit it strong again tomorrow, as always, and I definitely trust that uh, through the expression of energy this evening and getting into our philosophers' esoteric information and dealing with the concepts of unity and what we rise out of, as a microcosmic representation of all of the great, beautiful things around us, that you all have come to learn something about the cosmos and about yourself, and about your own clarity and emerald nature and the interweaving of your minerals and your vegetables within yourself, man. So yeah, I definitely will that you all are getting what you need to get. And I know there's been some questions around the women's group and what happened to the women's group. And like I said, it's on pause for right now. We're working some things out, man. It's no joke. Choke, no joke. It's no joke, man. Doing this work. Step forward. Somebody told me the other day that I have the Farrakhan complex. I don't think so though, but it caused me to give some thought. And if any of you are familiar with the Farrakhan complex, when you establish something and you have no heir to take it over. You have no vice. You need that vice lord who will carry it on. I thought about that. I said, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I have been training up, some young Padawan, but yeah, I guess I have to sit back and really think about that and what that means, man. And how you become stronger sometimes by passing. You know, sometimes something becomes stronger when you get out the way, when you become more passive and you allow the law of that particular environment or of that movement to provoke the ascent of the movement itself. Sometimes you have to get to that. You get to that point through your own descent. It's like, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you ever could imagine, because I become an ancestor now, and the vision goes through the people. Yeah. Inner experience, mental pressure, physical pressure, and it leads to a conception of our own evolution, and it provides coherent explanations of what our existence is supposed to mean. So let's push ourselves to our limits, and let's court our struggles, and definitely let's not restrain ourselves when we're moving into our infinite stages. This has been Community. Thank you all, and I will see you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. All right. Try to make it a short one if I can. Tonight was going to be short too, but I guess I'm zoning. And that's when I know it's time to get off, because once I start zoning, stuff starts to bubble up to the surface. All right, all. You all be safe, man. And think about what I spoke about earlier in terms of applying the work. Don't be like those students who get stuck, man. Oh, you found the track? Okay, Armor, cool. I'll figure out which one it was. But yeah, don't be like them, man. And don't let them epitomize what this movement is about, because they're not about what this. Like I said, I count my students on one hand. A lot of people may say they repping this and they're part of this, but a lot of them ain't, man. They're not applying it. They're not living it. And if you do it, I'm telling you, we can have some really beautiful times. We can have a lot of fun. It's nothing like knowing that you got a shelter that you're in and you're cool and you're safe and you got that thing taken care of. Some things we need to check off our list. Spiritual system, check. Mate, check. Reliable vehicle, check. Bug out bag, check. Certain things, you gotta check off. Trip to the continent, check. Homeschooling, check. Tribe, check. That's right, Lo. Some things we got to be able to check off the list, man, so we can move on to other things. This is a series of teachings. If you notice, we don't stay on one thing. So start checking the list off, man. So we can go have some fun. So we could all sit out with no lights together and look up at all the stars in the sky, man, and start claiming them and try to figure out which one is us. Come on, man. All right. Good night, everyone. Peace.